You know what, Cap? I'm gonna just start by saying that um, I'm very happy that we're doing this live stream today,
Mm.
and I think that it's really great that I now have the ability to finally do this. Fuck, 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 fuck. During a live stream.
I mean, yeah, it's been long coming. New CEO, new changes, and it's really fucking exciting. So,
Yeah, I'm
um,
very happy that they changed that ridiculousness
mm,
with all of that. But I think that there um, there's a really good discussion for us to have today, and I'm happy that we can have this discussion
hmm
and not privately like we tend to do sometimes.
absolutely.
Um, Very happy to have this discussion with you today. So you put out a video on your main channel, right?
Yep.
And I know that you. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed that I did this,
Oh, you
but
made
this
this
is
what?
this is this is up on the locker room today. I
All
made
right.
an executive decision to stream this on your channel as well,
All right.
and
Fair
I
enough.
think that um, I think it's a very important discussion to have,
hmm
um, and I'm very excited to have this discussion. So you put out this video, man, and
Yeah,
I thought that it was a very reasonable video.
I
I
thought so
thought,
too. I
yeah,
thought so too.
I'm thinking
hmm
that uh, that a lot of what you were talking about in the video, I thought was mainly tactical. It didn't really have much of a how do I say
It was more of a tactical way of doing things, and not necessarily kind of my view. I don't know. I don't even know how to kind of put it, but it's just more of a tactically way on how things should go down because of how people are from various different countries, various different cultures, yada yada yada. And I did that video kind of a few different times, right? But they're all one takes. So like I'll do it, and if I don't like it, scrap it, and I'll just have the kind of I'll record the video, 3 minutes 14 seconds, go. Want to keep it short enough where it's short and sweet to the point. And I made sure in my mind when I did that video not to try to offend anyone.
hmm
And I guess it's just regardless of what you do in life and whether how you portray a certain message, um, people are gonna get offended. I mean, I don't want to jump the shark here, but a little too early. But it's been interesting seeing the comment section and people like putting words in my mouth or like attaching a certain viewpoint to me, which is the farthest thing from the truth.
yeah.
It's very highly amusing to the point. It's very interesting. Um, Thank you, Kratos, for stopping by here.
Yeah,
Appreciate it, man.
Kratos. He's
We're gonna
all
be
about that God of War shit, right?
absolutely, man.
Um, yeah. So I want to get into this, man.
Mm,
Well, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna have a little bit of a discussion.
mm,
We're gonna first break down the original video that got some people um, uh, interested
yeah.
in clicking on your video. For those that don't know, this is the Talking Shit podcast. This is also being simulcast on the Locker Room. The
Mm-hmm.
Locker Room is a new project that my co-host here, the esteemed Captain Paul,
Yep.
he decided to create this channel specifically to talk about hockey, which is his first and only true love. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry, sorry to the wife unit, but hockey is the
Oh
first love.
shit.
You're gonna have to share him with the sport.
Well,
Okay,
with this broken hip, I'm on the couch. Thanks, bud.
you know what I'm
Appreciate you.
saying. So he wanted to just have a channel where the only thing that we really would discuss on the channel is just the sport, what's going on in the sport. Cap is a very how should I say, a willing participant in political discussions, which is how TSP formed. But for his channel, he wanted to avoid talking about anything that was controversial.
Yeah.
And because this is kind of like a 3 strikes you're out thing, we had the Provorov thing, and then the New York Rangers did not follow through. The Minnesota Wild said, you know what, we're not really feeling so wild.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of tone this down a little bit. And he's like, listen, it's such a big deal in the sport. How can I not cover it on the main channel? Now, we did cover this on TSP in
Multiple
depth
times.
when it came to Provorov and then when it came to the Rangers, right? And, we said what thought needed to be said. But it seems that Minnesota either smartened up or they, however you want to look at it, they either made a really smart move or a really dumb move.
Correct.
By following through and then not following through.
Yeah.
So we are going to look at Captain Paul's original reaction to the Minnesota Wild not following through on their Pride Night festivities. Let's
Paul from Locker Room here, and I've been sitting here thinking about how to do this video because I want to make sure I don't come off too strong, but you know what? I just don't care at this point. The NHL needs to do away with Pride Nights. The Minnesota Wild, they had a Pride-themed warm-up jersey they did not follow through with. For whatever reason, there hasn't really been a public statement yet. And this has been a handful of times this season, whether it be Provorov or the Rangers and now the Wild, that teams have either not done it or have had a particular player boycott it. This whole Pride Night stuff is far too controversial for the NHL to have a night on. And I'm going to be very clear. I do not care what 2 consenting adults do in their own personal life. It's none of my business. But at the same Captain Paul for Locker Room here, and I've been sitting here.
I made a mistake
now
here.
the Wild.
It's all good.
That teams have either
it's just
not
so good
done
you
it
want to start from the beginning
or have had a particular player boycott it. This whole Pride Night stuff is far too controversial for the NHL to have a night on. And I'm going to be very clear. I do not care what 2 consenting adults do in their own personal life. It's
So that's where I wanted to stop it. Okay. So for those not scoring at home, okay, I'm going to run this for you one more time for those in the back.
Night on. And I'm going to be very clear. I do not care what 2 consenting adults do in their own personal life.
Let's try it one more time, just for the people who are a little hard of hearing.
I do not care what 2 consenting adults do in their own personal life. It's
all right. Well, I just want to make sure we have an understanding here. Okay.
I do not care what 2 consenting adults do in their own personal life. It's
okay. So now that we have that established,
yep.
Okay, as the basis for this discussion. Okay. This is not a discussion. The video was not meant to place a value judgment on whether it's righteous or natural or trying to split hairs and fine lines on what a lifestyle is and what it isn't. Right. Cap made it very, very clear that he is not placing any moral judgment or value. This is strictly a tactical conversation.
Yep. But the problem is people got caught up in their feelings. Now, to be fair, there's been a lot of amazing comments as well, and the like to dislike ratio is over 75%, which is positive. But because it's getting a lot of views and there's getting certain conversations, I try to have, genuine, fruitful conversations with some of these people that were opposing of my video in the comment section, and it's kind of like hitting your head against the wall at points because they're just not willing to listen and they just say the hot buzzwords. And it's kind of like, maybe it's my own fault because I should realize I'm on the internet, but it's kind of infuriating because it's like, all right, dude, stop being willfully ignorant. Stop stop being an idiot for a second. Understand what I said in the video, because it was one of those things I had to kind of watch it a couple times back. So I'm thinking, I'm checking in my ears. Did I say anything wild? Because I'm thinking in my head, like the only thing if I could probably do again was the one comment I said about shoving it down people's throats. I didn't realize when I said that would be like, you know what I'm trying to say? If that was one thing I could probably reword in a different manner, that would be
Why?
it. But I mean, if that, I'm saying if I was gonna redo it, that probably be the only segment where it's like, maybe
No.
that wasn't the best way.
But I
even
want to
then, that's
know why you don't think that was the best way.
because how would I put this? This is such a
What's up,
hot
Xeno?
button. It's hot button and sensitive issue to a lot of people. When you kind of word things in a particular way, and maybe don't even really understand it, it maybe comes off offensive. But I mean, am I ashamed of the video? No. Do I feel like I said anything wild in the video? No. But I don't know. Just
I would not change anything that you said in the video, in my opinion, because you know the old adage is you can please some people some of the time,
true.
but never everyone all the time.
You're right.
And
You're right.
if you did not put that in there, there would probably be 75% of people in your comment section then saying it for you. They're forcing it down people's throats. It is a frequent criticism of certain ideologies on the left and the right.
Correct.
Where it just seems like they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing.
Correct.
And so if that's the way that you assess the situation in the moment, then that's the way you assess the situation in the moment. And, you know, we just had a discussion on yesterday's TSP number 64, talking about how Dave Chappelle paved the way for other comics to be comics again.
Right.
And how important it is for the, and of course, when you get on that knee, they'll ask you to open your mouth.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
So, you know, Dave Chappelle, he,
I hate you.
Dave Chappelle paved the way for somebody like Chris Rock to then come out and say, you know what? Yeah, I played it safe before, but now I'm going to say what I really think and feel about the unnecessary censoring of comics. And then you'll probably get something from Bill Burr, and you'll probably get something from some other comedian down the line to where we start to get comedy to be comedy again, instead of a national referendum on protected social groups.
Let me make it clear. I don't regret the video whatsoever because I've listened to it back. I'm merely saying, looking at it from the other side, maybe that's a fucking sticking point, but even then, it's so moot and ridiculous if you feel like that terminology is offensive. You're just too sensitive to have these type of conversations, in my opinion.
Can I push back on that?
Okay.
Okay, because we're gonna talk about this more at length later. But when you look at how people reacted by hearing you say one thing and then spitting back to you something completely different and then attributing that opinion to you.
Yeah.
It really does show that they're shoving it down people's throat.
Right.
And you saw it in the comment section, right?
Yeah.
Like you have somebody that says, well, it's just a rainbow jersey. Why would you have a problem putting it on?
Yeah.
And to my response to that is, well, if it is just a rainbow jersey, why do you care whether I put it on or not?
Fair.
Right?
No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Let's keep it playing.
None of my business. But at the same time, the NHL has players from all around the world, various different backgrounds, various different religious beliefs, and a lot of religious beliefs, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, fundamentally disagree with that style of life. So when
Did you say anything about whether or not you agree or disagree personally with that style of life?
Nope. Completely overlooked.
Just checking. Just checking.
Completely overlooked. I literally said other religions, other backgrounds, not me. Yep. Keep rolling.
when you try to force people to fly the colors of a flag they do not really agree with, this is what happens. I'm not saying there shouldn't be inclusivity. Everyone should be allowed to play hockey. Everyone.
But let's talk about that, right?
Well, oh wow.
The forcing of the flying of the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know there is a group of people who do not agree with flying the rainbow colors? You know what that group is?
Ooh, is that evil?
People who would fall under the umbrella of alphabet soup.
Yep.
There are people that are saying, listen, I don't want you to put that on me. I'm not part of your movement. I just want to live. I want to let other people live. I want people to not interfere with the way that I live. Just don't interfere with my life. I don't need your rainbow flags. I don't need your movements or your marches or your parades. I'm just going to do me over here and you do you over there. Do you know? You actually know one of these people, Kat.
I actually know multiple of these people. Like my good friend Amanda, she's married with her wife. My friend now Samantha transitioned. And that's, I mean, I think when it kind of comes down to it, the overarching narrative by, how would I say this, the vocal minority is what makes a lot of people dislike them. You get where I'm coming from here? That when you keep shoving down your narrative down other people's throats, and you do not just allow people to live life how they want to live it, and you're just like, you gotta accept this, you gotta accept this, you gotta believe this. Like, I don't have to accept or believe anything necessarily, right? That'd be like me forcing my Christianity or my Jewish faith or whatever faith or denomination, my Buddhism on someone.
Or forcing your heterosexuality on somebody else.
It's like, you got to be straight. That's ignorant.
Right.
That's absolutely ignorant. And for them not to like see the other side of the argument, I mean, in my opinion, either they're just that dumb, or they're just being, like I said, willfully ignorant to the argument that they know is getting destroyed.
Well, the point that I was going to make is, she has been seen on this channel. My sister. She's been seen on this channel.
That's true.
You know, she's about as butch lesbian as they come. And you'll never find her wearing a rainbow anything. She's like, I'm not with all of that. I just want to find a woman that's not going to use me or treat me like garbage or abuse me. That's all I care about. That's what my sister says.
That's a fair point.
Right? And even though I don't agree with her lifestyle, she is welcome in my home and she seeks counsel from me on her relationships with women, because I don't need to support her lifestyle or the way she lives her life or her sexual orientation. The only thing I have to do is support her. So if this is something that she chooses to do in the here and now, I'm going to support her right here and right now until she either, definitively decides that that's for her, or one day she says that's not for her. But she knows I'm not down with that. That's not my thing.
The one thing I'll say is very interesting.
I let my other sister, hold on. I let my other sister cut me off because there was a situation where my sister was trying to use her religious beliefs to shun her gay sister, right? But then when she needed money, who was she calling? The gay sister, right? And I'm like, listen, we don't have to agree with what she does, but keep that same energy. If you don't want to associate with her and you don't want to be at any family gatherings where she's at, don't ask her for no money. Keep that same energy.
I agree.
And my sister understands, you know what? My brother is not really on board with all of this, but my brother loves me. And I know that my brother is never going to steer me wrong. And I've had to give her a lot of coaching on her relationships with women. And I don't do that because I'm flying the rainbow flag. I do that because I want my sister to be happy. But I don't have to approve of, like, my love for my sister doesn't necessitate that I approve of everything she does with her life. I'm sure that there are people in your life today that do things that you're not on board with, but you love them, so you support them. So that's one of the things that I look at it and I'm just like, Where do these people get off applying a feeling, a belief, an ideology to you that you did not say?
Because we're on the internet and people, unless you are waving that flag of what they believe, they're going to just assume the worst of you as a human being. And like I said in the follow-up video, we'll kind of watch probably or whatever.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm actually, I'm just going to be this guy. A lot of these people on the internet that say, oh, well, I'm about this, I'm about this. I haven't seen you in a soup kitchen. Haven't seen you work in a group home. Haven't seen you at these at-help youth centers with kids in terrible childhood home situations, right? I've been there. I've done that. I've been an anchor in my community, right? Been a youth hockey coach. Like, don't tell me how I am as a person when you don't fucking know me.
And
then
remember,
try to put words in my mouth
you're
that I
a
never
channel.
even fucking said.
You're a channel that had 1,340 subscribers, right? Mm-hmm. You got over 25,000 views. That means 99.9% of the people that watched the video never knew you before.
Absolutely.
They clicked on the video and the recommended.
Absolutely.
And now they want to tell you what you think and feel, Cap.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest problem I have with all of it. Now, if you want to take down the points, fine with that. That's here on TSP. That's what we do. Like, there's been points actually, right? There's been
Fair
points
enough.
where
you were on the locker room. You weren't on TSP, so they can attack you personally over there.
Listen, but locker room too. If you disagree with some of my hockey takes, we can have that debate. It's fun. But when it kind of comes down to it, we got to have a fruitful conversation. There's been times on this podcast where I've been wrong, right? When it's been found I've been wrong, and then I'll get a little bit more education, find out we're a little bit nuanced in the situation where evil's like inform me, and then vice versa, right? And the thing is, and this is the problem with today's climate, people don't want to talk to each other anymore. They just want to shout their own
insults and accusations.
Exactly. It's like, dude, let's have the talk. Let's have the conversation. And the funniest part, like, I framed it in such a positive manner, but trying to show the other side, and then just to see some of the, like, cuckoo, like some of the responses, like, whoa, come on, man.
One is allowed to play hockey. But let's be very clear when I say this. Whether you agree with it or not, the cold hard truth is this. Everyone is entitled to their own worldview and religious beliefs. This Pride Night stuff adds much unneeded negative PR to the NHL.
Now, you didn't say that they should not have the Pride Nights because they're bad, and that you believe that every man should go find a vagina, right?
Nope. Never said that.
You said the reason why they should do away with it is because of what?
The negative PR of not doing it. And this is the biggest problem.
Or the negative PR of them doing it and having even one player opt out.
And that's what happened with Provorov with the Philadelphia Flyers. He stands out, and then they want to make they want to make hit pieces on the guy, and then I thought he handled it very well, just kind of short and to the point. And this is, I'm not going to take any more questions about it. And then you have the Rangers situation where they don't do it, and then it just becomes a narrative in the NHL. Well, is the NHL phobic? Is the NHL bigotry? And then the Minnesota Wild,
because one player opted out. Yep. The rest of the team skated in the jersey, dude.
I know.
Because one is the NHL, but one guy opted out. Oh my god!
And then you have it with the Wild, and that's like for me on the locker room. And I've made this very clear when we've done discussions about sports on TSP. It's not a political channel, but I'm also, compared to other content creators, I do believe in having the balls to just say what you want to say, right? And the only reason I covered it is like once, twice, three. Okay, let's have the cold hard conversation here, because it's not working, right? Because it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Quite frankly, because you're gonna have people upset. Like if the NHL like suspended Provorov, right? Then the other side of the argument, like, oh, like it's gonna be just as much negative PR from right-leaning outlets, right? Like,
remember what happened to Kyrie? They suspended him not because he said anything that was anti-Semitic, because he never said a word. They suspended him because he did not say what the team owner demanded that he say in the aftermath.
I
I mean, come on, guy.
But when it kind of comes down to it, it's a landmine. It's a minefield. Like it's something that personally I don't even think it's been been working well anyways in most of these markets. And if you want to have initiatives for people within the LGBT plus community, do it. Get it done. Actually have teams spend money. But I mean, let's be very clear here, and I said it in my second video. Can we just not pretend? Stop pretending, I should say, that like tens of thousands of dollars is shit to these NHL teams.
Well,
I'm not saying
we'll get into that. Let's not jump.
I know, but
again.
I'm not jumping.
We'll get into that video shortly.
Let me finish my point.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, wake the fuck up. Keep playing.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
because if you're
don't
not
give away
to
the
commit
goods
to it, and you're going to respect your players' beliefs, which I do respect about the NHL, why have it in the first place? That's been kind of my biggest argument with it. It's not because I hate people. It's not because I'm a bigot. I'm just looking at it from the facts-based standpoint. You have players from all around the world, from all different backgrounds, with belief systems that really do disagree with Pride Night. Why keep opening yourself up to this headache? And I'll state this as well. Just because someone has a religious belief system that doesn't agree with that lifestyle doesn't mean they hate those individuals. They just don't agree with that lifestyle. In my personal opinion, as long as people aren't being hateful and trying to incite violence against that group, they are entitled to their own personal opinion.
And that is the biggest statement. Let me make another parallel, right? Valentine's Day. Let's talk about Valentine's Day and let's talk about Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think let me back it up a little bit, right? Let's say you're with your wife, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you think that your lady would value chocolate and flowers and a nice dinner more on one of these two dates? 2/14 or 9/14? Which one would she appreciate more?
2/14.
Why do you believe that she would appreciate the February 14 chocolate, flowers, and dinner instead of the September 14?
Because it's the holiday, it's the meaning behind it, it's just the romantic atmosphere of it. I feel like that would be kind of a little bit more meaningful outside of anniversary, obviously. But yeah, I think 2/14.
I'm going to push back on that. I would say that she would value the 9/14 more than the 2/14.
Oh, because it's unexpected?
Because it is not compulsory. That means that you are sending a message that is not being dictated to you by some corporate machine saying everybody must do this thing on this date. What the fuck is a gift given if it's compulsory?
I mean, I'll say
this. Is it really support of the gay community if you are forced to promote it?
I mean, that's true. I mean, if you're just complying from the other powers above you and not doing it out of the goodness of your heart, that's a good point. I wasn't exactly getting where you were going with it, but yeah, now that you kind of said that out loud, yeah, that makes sense.
But he was on point with it. He was on point with it. Among the gay community itself, there is a rift of supporting this corporate grift because that's exactly what it is.
What's going on, Seditionalists? Appreciate you guys.
Right. So I just
jerk, you know?
Yeah. I just really wanted to kind of drive that point home. When if you're doing the December 25th thing and you give someone a gift, is it really a gift if you're expecting something immediately in return on the same day?
No, it's more just obligation. That's why I'm not really big on the holiday stuff, honestly, because I feel like it's just so force-fed. Like, I do certain stuff with my wife throughout the year.
What did you say? Repeat that again? It's what?
It's very, very forceful.
Ah.
So, like, and then I do very special things with my wife throughout the year randomly. Like, the other week I got her like a gift and some other stuff, like just randomly, and she loved it. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. That's a good point. This is why you're here, for the intelligence.
I live in a world that everyone wants to shove their own worldview down other people's throats because that is the quote unquote correct way of thinking. But that's just not life. That's not how things work. And I'm
Now, when you said they want to shove things down people's throats, did you say it was necessarily a bad thing, or was it really an issue of effective versus ineffective?
Effective versus ineffective.
Yeah, let's run that back right quick. Let's just run this back right quick.
correct way of thinking. But that's just not life. That's not how things work. And
I unfriend you. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Yep.
The old Geico commercial, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I get it. You believe that everybody should not only fly the flag,
Right.
but you think that straight men should grab each cheek and pull them apart. I get that.
Jesus.
I get that you think that that's what everybody should be doing because that is what the prevailing leftist ideology says. Okay? And I'm not even going too far on that, Cap. I got a friend that I cherish, one of the last female friends that I have,
Right.
who constantly chides me because I tell her, I'm like, listen, I give your booty that work, but I'm not getting involved with a man. But why? You don't know if you're going to like it. Bitch. I just said man buns are not for me, both literally and figuratively. It's not for me. But there are people out there that says, well, you're a transphobe if you won't date trans. What?
Yeah. Man,
I'm
it just
trying to make this very clear. Everyone should be accepted in hockey and allowed to play and enjoy the sport they love. But that
You didn't say everyone except gay people, right?
Nope. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Okay,
So-
just checking. Just checking.
it
Appreciate
doesn't
you.
mean you can force your lifestyle down other people's throats. That'd be like me owning an NHL team, having a Christian night, forcing my players to say prayer, wear crosses, and say they love Jesus Christ. That wouldn't exactly go over too well, would it? End of the day,
Now let's talk about this because a
my
fucking light bulb just popped off in my head, right?
Okay.
They said that it's a false equivalency for you to draw a parallel between sexual orientation and religious belief. Okay. How many billions of people since the beginning of man have had their lives ended because of someone's conflicting religious beliefs throughout human history?
Throughout human
These
history.
motherfuckers really do believe that God made a mound of dirt and made a sandcastle and out popped a human being, and then he took one of the pieces of sand that he fashioned to a bone, ripped it out of Adam's ribs, and then used that to form a woman. There are people that actually believe that. They believe if you do X, Y, and Z, you are going to go to heaven and you're going to do. These people believe that this stuff is literal.
Yeah. I mean, but to each their own. Faith is
That this is literally how they were formed,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So how is it a false equivalency? How is this a false equivalency?
I don't know.
If you're saying this is part of every fiber of my being,
Right.
and then you get your Bible thumpers who, oh my God, and remember, I grew up with Bible thumpers, okay?
Right.
These people believe, I mean, do you know where the term drink the Kool-Aid came from?
No.
Okay, you're gonna have fun with this, Cap. So there was something called the Heaven's Gate cult back in the 1990s.
Oh, wait a minute.
And they
Yes.
believed
I do
that
now
they were
my
going
God.
to participate in this mass rapturing where as Hale-Bopp's comet passed by Earth, that they were all going to shed their earthly bodies and then their spirits was going to ride Hale-Bopp's comet like a horsey on their way out of the solar system.
Yeah, and they wore like some clean Nikes on the way out.
Yo, they had the black and purple Nikes.
Yeah,
and how did they shed their human form?
Yeah.
They put some rat poison in some Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers really thought they was about to fly off into space off rat poison. And you're going to tell me that these people's conviction of who they are is any less intense than somebody of alphabet soup. What?
Yeah, I mean, well, the curious thing, right? Because that was a comment section you were involved in with some guy, and I had a back and forth a little bit, but then it's just willful ignorance. He's not willing to listen to what I'm trying to say, not trying to connect the fucking dots. And I'm not here to unlike you, I'm not here to fucking force feed your fucking
I mean, look at the
down my throat. But
I brought this up when Indian Jesus showed up. I mean, our resident atheist.
Yeah.
Right?
And
how many people have tried to shove Christianity down his throat after he stopped deep-throating Christianity? Like he already pulled it out of his throat, and they're trying to shove it back in.
And I think when it kind of came down to it, when I made that analogy, people like, it's like, I don't know, maybe people just don't, the education's probably failed, the system's probably failed us, but people don't understand it's just a pure analogy. So I can put yourself in the other side's shoes and try to make you understand how they feel. That's it. So like if someone forced you to wear a cross, someone forced you to carry a Bible around as a person within the alphabet soup community, you would be pissed because let's be very clear.
And rightfully so.
In the doctrine itself, it's not exactly all inclusive.
Flexible. Yeah, it's not flexible.
Let's be real here. I've studied world religions. I've studied multiple different religions. Not many religions, if any at all, are very accepting of
that booty juice.
Nope. And there's not so this doesn't get clipped. I'm gonna clear this up. I don't give a fuck what people do in their own life as long as it's legal. They're consenting adults and they're happy and healthy. I don't give a shit. And it's like I feel like I have to nail that home. Yeah. But it was just a simple analogy because the LGBT plus community is essentially like a religion and a cult to a lot of Christians, to a lot of people of Islamic faith, so to a lot of people of the Jewish faith.
Yep.
That is how they look. Like we had a story on TSP, right, covering a Jewish college, right, that had to get rid of all of their clubs because they wouldn't sponsor an LGBT plus community. And by the way, when I said lifestyle, that's why. If I kept saying LGBT plus, I would have mumbled throughout that whole commentary. So that's why I kept saying lifestyle.
And it's dude, it's still a fucking lifestyle. You ever hear you ever like, let's talk about another religion. It's called veganism. Let's talk about that other religion.
Shout out.
They'll tell you it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
My shoes have no animal products in it. And I don't she doesn't swallow nut because it comes from a being that produces animal cells or whatever. Right? There are people who are so serious about it that they make their veganism their whole persona.
Oh, yeah, have you ever seen a channel called Vegan Gains? Yeah, like that. There's literally.
Why did you bring him up?
I'm just saying as an example of someone from the vegan.
You couldn't let me forget.
The only thing in their personality is being vegan, and it's fucking ridiculous. But, yeah, I mean, listen, it's people took a simple analogy and it acted like I was trying to shove Christianity down people's throats.
Right.
It's
So
like,
let's answer traditionalists here. He said, "Devil's advocate: are you entitled to a public personal opinion statement when in service of an employer organization, or is it personal time and compliance during business time?" Well, here in the United States, we do recognize people's religious freedoms.
Correct.
So if a company wants to engage in an event that espouses a lifestyle or a viewpoint that is not with that person's religious background, then that is something that they can discuss with management so that they can make the necessary arrangements so that this person's conscience isn't violated by being forced to engage with things that is not with their belief system. And I've been in that situation in the workplace different times. I've talked to my supervisor about like, hey, this is not consistent with my ethics. And I just want to be left out of this. Now, could it cost you a shift? It could.
Yeah.
Could it, lead to people asking you a lot of questions that you don't want to answer? Perhaps. But nobody should be forced to promote any kind of non-essential lifestyle that or belief system that they don't want to. Like, you can't say, well, I don't agree with, in my religion, humans shouldn't live. Well, it's essential that we live. So we're not going to follow through on that, right? Because that's unreasonable. But then again, if, you're anti-human and you're a nihilist and, we're, celebrating Human Day, then maybe you don't participate in that day. It's not your job to shut down that day for everybody else, but you should not be forced to participate in it yourself. So Sadismus then says, what if you work at McDonald's and Mickey D's decides to sell the McVeggie, but you disagree with the vegetarian vegan lifestyle? Can you stand up for your beliefs and refuse to deal with McVeggie orders? Or I would say no, because I would say that your job is to serve the products of the company. And if you cannot serve the products of the company, then you shouldn't work for that company. But the difference between this situation and the situation that we're talking about here is that hockey players do not serve a side of sexuality.
Correct.
Their job is to finish their checks, to crowd the net, to forecheck.
Yep.
Right? Their job is to be in the proper position.
Yep.
And to score goals while not letting goals be allowed to score. So we're talking about ancillary things that are outside of the purview of their actual job description. They're in the NHL, none of the contracts state you must also be an ambassador for the Rainbow Brigade. So that's something that they came up with after the fact. It's not collectively bargained with the Players Association.
Right.
It's just simply not part of their job.
Nope, it's not within their contract. I mean, like their job is to be hockey players, and if they want to be involved with initiatives outside, go for it, do it. But I mean, to essentially make someone forego their core belief system, I'm just always going to oppose. And I would say the same thing if the NHL was trying to push Christianity down people's throats. I'd be like, listen, like, you can't do that. Like, that's not everyone believes in Jesus Christ. Not everyone believes in this. I mean, I think it's a pretty rational take to most people, but people get just highly emotional and they don't think with a rational brain.
Too much of a headache. Axe it all together. Have teams be involved within their community and be advocates within that community if they want to be. But you can't force players to believe in something that they just don't agree with. I'm Captain Paul. I'll see you in the next one. And man, this video is probably gonna get a bit of pushback.
That was my favorite part of the video. He was like, dude.
I'm Nostradamus. I'm Nostradamus in that. Like, goddamn.
Dude, like that shit. I'm sorry. That shit fucked me up, yo. He's like, yeah, I'm about to get flamed. And again, and I just want to all right, we got you, TIJ. We got you. So I just want to be very clear that if you make everybody promote something, then you cannot then turn around and try to argue with the complaint that you're trying to shove it down people's throats.
Yeah.
If you make it optional and some people opt out, fine. What I would not be okay with is if Provorov would have said, you know what, I'm going to opt out, and all of you heathens are going to burn in the lake of fire for all eternity. If he would have if he would have done that, I've been like, oh, this. I mean, I can't really say this nigga, but.
Yes, you can. I can't. You can. You can. I clearly cannot. But no. But like,
and the thing is, I think that a lot of people in the comments section just could not. In their mind, they're like, if I cannot force you to support this thing, that means you hate that thing. And the thing is, there's a lot of room in the middle. It's called indifference, because I don't have to dislike what you're doing to simply not give a fuck.
I mean, that's pretty much the life I live. And like I said, and not to belabor the point home, it's a 3-minute and 14-second video where I quickly go in and out of the subject, stay respectful.
They want you to go in and out of another man. That's the thing.
Oh, relax, dog. Relax. Dude, this is like
they want you to prove your allegiance and your fealty.
Oh my god. I just
to the alphabet soup.
I wish the cancer took me. But I think with when it kind of comes down to it, end of the day, the message I'm merely getting across, simple analogy, don't think they're really a good idea because it's just constant PR. And the one argument I did see, well, any PR is good PR. Not necessarily. Like not necessarily. Like if you believe that, I really think you need to do a quick lesson in marketing, because while that does work in some frame of mind with some negative publicity where you're kind of become more infamous than famous, then it's going to be harder for you to sell a product, in my opinion. And this was just, what if the NHL would have said, fine, but in case you're not taking part of this collective gay pride support warm-up thingy-mabob, we'll see you during match time. Yes, that's fine.
That's exactly what they did.
That's
fine. What they did.
That's what they did, but that still became an issue for people. Right? Like,
yeah, that's exactly what they did.
All he did was not take part in it. He didn't insult anyone, and it still became a story. But the problem is that people don't want to acknowledge is because of the controversial aspect of this conversation, not everyone's going to back it. I mean, I'm just saying purely from an optics standpoint, when now you have, after the Provorov session, the Rangers didn't do it, the Wild didn't do it, you're having teams just outright not do it anymore. What's the fucking point of having it? Right? Is that if you're not going to do it in the fucking first place, you're going to promote it like you're going to do it, right? You're going to say you're going to do it this certain day, and then you don't follow up on the promise. What is the point? What is the point of even doing it? And then someone wanted to say that because of the Pride jerseys, they auction off the jerseys, right? Like, if they don't wear it, what are they auctioning off exactly? Right? If they don't actually skate with them, what are they auctioning off?
And here's the thing, man. Here's the thing.
It's a no-win situation.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. I think that I'm thinking that Stadislan said, in that case, I'm out of possible reasons to continue the argument and be upset over this. As the
devil's advocate, yeah.
Because the thing is, again, and the thing is, you hear a lot of leftists and rightists, they both use this example. Well, if you don't want us to be able to say our opinions and you only want people to have your opinions, then go to China or North Korea. We hear that all the time.
Facts.
Look at
Keep
this.
talking. I'm just going to get some water.
Motherfucker.
What's that? What?
Yeah, because we're ableist over here.
I didn't even think of it that way. I just want to go get some water. I got to hit this. Yeah.
Oh
Technically,
man.
I can't be a bigot if I'm a cripple, right? So,
Oh wow. Yeah. Because you've got no power, literally. None. So the thing is, you would have a better opportunity to understand who really backs you and who doesn't if you allow people to really say what they think and feel. If you would have allowed the players to come up in the warm-ups, because remember, almost nobody shows up to the warm-ups anyway. Okay. So it's not like, it's just nationally recognized opportunity. Uh Nobody, number one, the pregame skate is not televised. And most people don't show up to the game until right before puck drop or right after. So it's not like, it was going to be this huge deal. And it's not like there's this, grand, majority or a large minority percentage of fans that are, of that orientation. So if you really wanted to know who is for you and who isn't, give people the opportunity to wear it or not wear it so you actually see who actually supports you, and then you can focus on those people and give those people your support. But is it real support if you're forcing everybody to support you? Then it's not support. Do you think that everybody in North Korea likes Kim Jong-un?
yeah.
But you wouldn't know it, because if they don't show support, they put them in a death camp.
Facts.
So, I just think that, and the thing is, you were saying, they should get rid of the Pride Night. And my idea is not to get rid of the Pride Night necessarily.
Okay. Sure.
But to give people the options and say, you know what, we have this array of things. We have this array of causes that you can choose from for your warm-up jerseys. They send like a questionnaire out, like a survey out to all the players in the league, and have like a list of different causes that the NHL is going to get behind, and then let them write in one for themselves. And if the league deems it to not be hateful, you can wear this warm-up jersey. And then the NHL would have a whole bunch of different jerseys that they can sell and auction off. And if somebody is out there wearing your rainbow jersey, then you can go nuts because he actually rides for you.
I mean, pause. But when it kind of comes down to it,
I said rides for you, not on you.
Oh God. When it kind of comes down to it, though, there was a
Oh
comment.
yeah, this is exactly true.
There's a
I've dealt with this so much.
There's a comment on the video that actually said something about that, of having players have individual charities where they can raise money. Like, that's a fantastic idea, and it kind of it breaks these barriers down of like having a specific night to a certain cause. My gut feeling. I mean, my visceral opinion when it comes to these promotion nights. I think they're full of shit. But
yes, we're about to get into that right now.
I would rather them just actually spend money and put money where their mouth is and actually affect some of that community than just like a bunch of showboating bullshit that we care now at this certain month. Oh, we care about African Americans in February, but fuck the other months. Like, to me, it's just so hollow. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's just something that, to me, ugh.
Yeah, I'm going to get into this comment again. You have no idea how much I face this. And I've faced this since I was a teenager, when I didn't take free cigarettes or marijuana from people who were offering to me, or free alcohol, that, because nobody ever wants to offer you something that's beneficial to you, right? For free. They want to sell you the beneficial stuff, but give you the harmful stuff for free.
True.
And one of the things that I figured out when I was a middle schooler is that if somebody is not quite sure that what they're doing is the right thing, they're going to push really, really hard for you to co-sign what they're doing.
True.
And so when it comes to people, when I was, 15, I ran into this. When I was 17, when I was 19, it got worse when I turned 21. Oh, you're 21. Let's go drink. Nah, it's not for me. And then they give me the third degree. No, we got to get you drunk. I've had girls. I remember this one chick that put me in the emergency room because her opening was too small, and I ended up in the emergency room, which is a funny story that I told on my original gaming channel many years ago.
Okay then.
But I remember like her. I remember her telling me that she wouldn't let me attempt to have sex with her anymore if I didn't smoke weed out of the bowl that she was smoking in. And I'm just like, number one, your friends want to fuck me. Number two, I'm not going to do drugs for that. Like,
yeah,
you're not going to manipulate. Because the thing is, even if I was interested in the weed, I would not have done it because I did not appreciate
the manipulation tactics.
The manipulation attempt, right?
yeah.
But I've noticed that when you say, you know what, is not for me, and you leave it like that, they take it personal as if you're judging them by your inaction. So if you're like, you know what, you want to do your trans thing, you want to do your gay thing, right? You want to do that. In fact, I think in one country, I think in Japan, a man just won a lawsuit because he was fired because he refused to drink and participate in sex with his coworkers after hours. He won a lawsuit in Japan recently because
it's actually funny you say that. There's another lawsuit in Japan because facial hair is looked down upon. It's looked as unkempt. And someone actually sued in Japan. I think it was last year, and they won because it was discrimination in the workplace because he wouldn't shave.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't play ball. And we've been talking about a lot of Christianity, Jesus Christ, and like a lot of things, right? And we're gonna, let's through my faith, let me bring in Jesus. Right?
Wow, wait. Did you just execute Jesus after I raised him? I raised him.
Bro, he rose again, dude. It was in the 3-second millisecond thing.
Dude, that was powerful, yo. What we just did.
Powerful,
like
bro.
we gave him life. I gave him life. Yeah. You killed him. You're the Romans, right?
Yo,
you killed
relax.
him.
Relax.
You're Judas.
And then you raised him. You raised him again. I don't know where I was going with that. How are you doing, Lutch, of the Indian Jesus podcast? How are you doing, man?
Pretty good. Just trying to resurrect the second coming of common sense as I do. Understand? I was at work, so I caught a little bit of this conversation.
I hit you up before we went live. I was just like, this topic, you're gonna want to at least be in the gallery for this one.
So now, have you taken a chance to watch the video at all? Just curiously.
I watched it.
Okay.
What was your opinion of how he expressed himself in the original video?
Say again?
What was your opinion of how he expressed himself in the original video?
I mean, just like you guys were like I said, I caught like the last 15 minutes. You weren't saying anything about, trans is bad, that you should be Christian, anything like that. I'm gathering people in the comments were coming at you with that. But yeah, it was just, it's exactly the opposite of what they want. And that's why my comment before, you were saying that it doesn't have to be that just because you don't support something that it means that you hate it.
Right.
Correct.
And it's almost like you could say that it's non-binary.
Right. It's not a 1 or a 0.
You'd think these people would have a better idea of a spectrum of nuance.
I hate my life right now.
But it only goes in one direction.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm definitely not waving the flag either, but I'm certainly, just as much against pushing religion as I am against pushing this stuff. But that's not what you did, bro. Like,
well, and that it's just weird because people are willfully ignorant of the point I'm trying to make, and because I'm not waving the flag of the rainbow, or pushing that narrative, and I'm just having a little
He
bit of
doesn't
more
want
of
to
like,
taste the rainbow.
oh, relax. When it kind of came down to it, I'm not pushing their narrative. I'm not like saying, "Oh my God, like we need to have Pride Night every single night." They pushing back at me and putting words in my mouth what I'm trying to say. When you watch the 3 minute and 14-second video, right? Saying the length because it wasn't that long, and you kind of break down what I'm saying and you take for what I'm saying what I'm actually saying and not putting words in my mouth. I'm merely saying from a
Or
PR
anything else for that
aspect.
matter.
Relax. From a PR aspect, I hate you. You are not. It's just not a win-win situation for the NHL because when you have the Rangers pull out and you have the Wild pull out last second, right? Then at the point, like, what's the even? There's no reason for even having these Pride Nights, and
Right.
then we could find more meaningful solutions to maybe have events outside of the hockey game itself. Because when I go to a hockey game, and no disrespect when I say this, I just want to go watch a hockey game.
How
That's
dare
it.
you?
That's it.
How dare you? Just want to watch hockey?
How dare you? I need that. I need that on my board.
Yeah.
I need that.
So
Yeah. So I just want to kind of throw this in here, a little bit of like a fun, lighthearted thing.
Mhm.
Lutch is kind of like our YouTube brother in arms because he was in the midst of kind of thinking about rebranding I Didn't Read Your Book and turning it into the Indian Jesus. It was around that time. It was after we met, but we all have very small platforms, and we tend to like to celebrate each other's wins. So
Absolutely.
I just kind of wanted to kind of give TIJ some of the stats. So this original 3 minute and 14-second video has, at my last count, over 1,100 comments, over 1,200 likes, and has been viewed more than 25,000 times.
damn, there you go.
24
Hey, controversy sells.
I mean, listen.
And that's we had that discussion about how you did not want to position your channel as, like a shock jock or something like that. You didn't really want to be known as that guy for that reason. You wanted to just be able to just flat out talk hockey. I think he's gained like 400 subscribers as well.
Yeah, I mean, I had an ESPN video
26,000 views.
I had an ESPN video that's still actually getting views. That's almost 33,000.
Almost 30,000.
It's 33,000 5 days ago, and this one, literally just at 24 hours, has 26.4 thousand views. And it's like, it's good from a growth aspect, right? And I think the reason why people, I think, are subscribing and kind of, I'm saying the quiet part out loud, right? And I think that's what a lot of people appreciated it. I had one comment saying I was brave and bold. I wouldn't go that far.
Compared to them, you are.
What's that?
Compared to them, you are, because even saying
I
basic,
said the same thing.
people are too afraid, and that's exactly. So I mean, I think this is especially if you are trying to steer away from being a controversy shock jock kind of guy. I mean, and this is seemingly how it happened, that it just the controversy fell into your lap just by you giving your opinion, not trying to get into an argument or a controversy that was already there. Just like, hey, this thing is happening. This is what I think.
Do you know how true that is, Lutch? You know how true that is, Lutch? Cap actually avoided the topic when it came up 2 times. It came up 2 times. When it came up the 3rd time is when he spoke on it on that channel. Because we covered the first 2 instances where Provorov, a defenseman for the Philadelphia Flyers, was the lone opt-out. Yeah. And then the New York Rangers are like, well, we saw one guy opt out and he got creamed. We're probably going to have a few opt-outs. You know what? We're just not going to. Yeah. We're going to have the Pride Night without the warm-up jersey so nobody gets picked on, right? And then the Wild took it a step further and said, well, the Rangers had a Pride Night. They just didn't wear the warm-up jerseys that nobody would have seen anyway because it's not televised and nobody shows up that early to the game.
Right.
Right?
Right.
They still did their Pride Night. They had the guy waving the rainbow flag and the massive flag, right? They did all of that, and they still got creamed for it. They're like, you know what? I'm out. I'm not going to subject us to this. Not going to do it.
This ties directly into the Scott Adams thing that he was, and I mean that slightly different, but the whole idea of it's just never enough. It's never enough. Capitulating, and then people just want more and more and more and more and more. And so this idea of trying to be tolerant of other people for the sake of other people, it's a nice idea, but when those people don't reciprocate or at least accept that grace with the intention that, like, okay, I don't necessarily like this, but I want to give you the opportunity to live out your whatever.
Yep.
Then I would just like that same thing in return. Nah, we're right. We are good. You are bad. This is how people think, man.
Yep.
Well, and I think what it kind of comes down to, these people that are looking for tolerance are very intolerant themselves.
They're the most intolerant mofos ever.
And it's, if you can't see, like, there was some comments, right, that I saw people like dropping Bible scripture saying they're heathens, and I'm like, Jesus, dude. Like,
yeah.
Like that I'm like, come on.
Christ.
Like you're not helping here.
Yeah.
And then I saw
H stands for Hindu.
And then I saw other people comment, oh, they're imaginary sky god that doesn't exist, and I'm like, oh my god, like
you're doing the same thing to the religious people that you're claiming they're doing.
That's the entire point of my entire platform is dedicated to highlighting that exact thing. That, like, yo, y'all are doing the same exact thing to them that y'all are yelling at them for doing to you.
Yep.
And you are doing, like, can we be grown-ups here? Can we just be grown-ups?
No.
Apparently
not allowed. Not allowed.
No.
Captain Paul from TSP here. Now, I appreciate it if you come over from the locker room. This is going to be a reaction video in sorts to a lot of the negative criticism. People that are watching on TSP, I made a video on the locker room saying that the NHL should end Pride Nights. I'll add it down below in the description so you get full context of this conversation. Now, the video in itself has received a lot of good support, a lot of positive comments, but I'm not here to give myself a blowjob. Let's
break that down.
Talk about the criticism. And if you did come over from the locker room, I do really appreciate you giving this a chance and listening to what I'm trying to come across here. And if you enjoy this video, check out the other stuff. We do a lot of political and pop culture type content on this channel with my co-host DEG. One of the biggest complaints that I saw in the comment section from the detractors,
whatever the fuck you want to call it,
is me calling it a lifestyle regarding Pride Night, being LGBT+.
Which it is.
It's not a diss. That is a style in which people live their life. Straight people, that's a straight lifestyle.
It's sad that you had to actually break the compound word apart to its most literal basis because these motherfuckers don't understand English.
Yeah.
Christian, that's a Christian lifestyle. Muslim, that's a Muslim lifestyle. That isn't a way in which I'm saying that in a negative manner. You are taking your own assumptions and throwing them on me. I'm merely saying that's a style in life that they live. That's it. And if you can't acknowledge that, I do not know what to say. I felt like I had to address that because I saw numerous comments that took offense to that. And it was just the furthest thing that I was trying to do.
Zuccarello.
I was just merely trying to say it in a way where I didn't have to keep repeating LGBT+, because that would have been a bumbling mess for me recording it. Secondly, I had a lot of people on the promotion side of things saying, well, if you wanted to cancel Pride Night, you should cancel Military Night. Dude, and maybe it's my fault for expecting people to actually look into my track record. I understand I'm asking too much from people on the internet. But if you knew my stance, I don't even like these promotional nights altogether. Whether it be military, Pride Night, whatever. I think they're stupid. And while they have a lot of well-meaning behind it with raising money for charity, do these NHL teams really need to have these nights to send some tens of thousands of dollars to the communities? No.
I'm going to push back on that, Cap.
I got a great idea, though, real quick.
Yeah.
Instead of Pride Night or Military Night, how about Hockey Night?
Let's bring awareness to hockey because, Stephen A. Smith only knows that the puck is black. bitch.
Facts. What were you
Um,
gonna say?
yeah, so I wanted to say the reason why it is important to have these nights is because a nominal donation from an organization will only go so far. The point of having these events is to bring awareness to things that a certain demographic may not have been aware of, to give them the opportunity to then learn more about the cause and then decide for themselves whether they want to go and support that cause. I'll give you an example. During Black History Month, and we will be critiquing that, the New York Rangers had a particular night where they looked at they kind of like broke down this one thing where apparently there is an inner city organization here in New York City that is dedicated to getting Black girls to play hockey. I swear to God.
What? Okay.
Right? And I'm thinking, number one,
Do Black girls want to play hockey?
that's the first fucking question.
Is anybody stopping Black girls from playing hockey? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
actually, and this is something that Captain Paul and I talk about when it comes to the popularity or lack thereof of hockey and the NHL in general. So please educate him on why hockey, the sport, and the NHL, the league, is not as
As profitable or as big as it could be.
or popular.
The problem with hockey, and this has been kind of a main pushback, and
Is
let
that
me
you're
get
disabled?
let me get my crutches here for.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were supposed to die in surgery the other day.
I wish I did, but I think when it kind of came down to it, is when it comes to hockey, it's a very, very expensive sport. It is the most expensive sport in all of the major sports, because it costs at the very least at least $1,000, even for little kids, for all the equipment, skates, shin pads, hockey pants, hockey stick, like the whole thing. It's an expensive sport. And then with kids growing up, right, and they continually grow, you have to buy new equipment pretty much every single year, right? And when it kind of comes down to it, the expense keeps a lot of people that would love to play hockey or have the possibility of even getting into the sport out of it.
Wait, how
And,
much does a hockey stick cost?
like I buy a little bit more of the higher end stuff. Mine's is like $400, I think.
So you know that
Yeah.
guys break their stick all the time on one-timers and
Absolutely,
slap shots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this
That's a $400 stick. Poof, gone. I need to go grab another piece of wood.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's around 200 to 400. Like, I got like a Bauer. I think it was a Hyperlight. It's down below. Like, I obviously can't skate because I'm broken, but in soul, not just physically. But when it kind of comes down to it, it's a very expensive sport to get into, and it's something that I've had discussions with people, and even some people that are in certain manufacturing companies like Warrior. Like, Warrior is good because they make their equipment a little bit cheaper. But
lacrosse, holy crap! Warrior lacrosse stuff is top tier.
But even with the cheaper goalie stuff and cheaper pads, like, dude, it's an expensive sport to play, and if you aren't in at least a very, like, not even just middle class, but upper middle class, I mean, what parent's gonna want to spend tens of thousands of dollars for their kid's life on a single sport?
I'm going to tee you up with an obvious but stupid question. What does that have to do with Black people?
No, check out the comment, Cap.
Hockey is. Oh my god.
Good broadcasting to read it out loud, but there you go.
I'm not gonna read that out loud. I'm already in enough hot water. Like, yo, I have DEG read that out loud. Like, I'm already in hot water, bro. I don't need this. I don't need this smoke. Like, 'cause I can just imagine, right? Like, 'cause a Yahoo freaking a journalist that's looking for an easy suck off will just like post an article like, bigoted NHL YouTuber is anti-Pride Night and anti Black people. Like, that's I could just see it now. I could see the articles in my head. Like, I could easily see it. So no, we ain't doing that. Like, no.
All right, so you wanted to know why race is an issue. You know Stephen A. Smith of ESPN, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said some racist things about hockey on national TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard the all I know is the puck is black.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just what was the the TLDR of his whole?
You just said it,
Okay.
right? Like,
Well,
I'm black, and the only thing I know about it, I'm ignorant. Even though he gets paid over $7 million a year to talk professional sports, and he completely ignores a major professional sport and is proud of his ignorance due to race. Does that sound like racism to you, Lutch?
Doesn't sound like racism.
Sounds like racism to me,
How is it racism?
because he has a bias against something based on race. That's racism.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's racial. But when you typically when you say something is racist, then it's an affront to a group.
Yeah,
You can't
hockey
be
fans based on race.
hockey fans are not a race. So if you're saying,
But he has an affront.
Hey,
His affront is about them based on race.
okay, but so so maybe the pride part of it is more of the issue. But how much do you know about authentic Indian food dishes?
A
I know a
lot
bit.
because I eat it.
Okay, so let's say you didn't. Would that be, and you made the joke. Let's say it's a joke. We'll give Stephen A. Smith the all the leeway we can. And he's saying, "Oh, I don't know about this because I'm black." I think that's in a separate category of saying, hockey player saying, "Oh, I don't talk to black people because I'm a hockey player." That would be.
Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the video for you. We're actually gonna play the we're gonna play the clip that is in question.
Is that a station though to you?
No, like
listen, making a comment and making something that's racist towards a group of people.
Listen, I think a comparable here for me, right? For example, like just because he's a big figure, Gordon Ramsay, right? He's a cooking expert. Goes to all these different cultures, ingratiates himself to these cultures, learns a lot of different dishes, right? I don't know if you watch Gordon Ramsay. I do because I like these cooking shows, but he'll go across the world educating himself about different techniques and different ways of cooking. I don't think it's really that difficult. I look at it in the same way as a cook learning different techniques and different cultures to kind of get inspired type dishes. I mean, Stephen A. Smith paid millions of dollars. I mean, he could turn on a hockey game every once in a while and try to figure out the sport. And I'm not saying he has to love it.
Because that's what he gets paid to do for a living.
At least kind of educate yourself on it. That's all I'm saying. Because like when you say something like, all I know about hockey is the puck of black. Now, mind you, that is extreme cringe, him saying that. But it also just shows his lack of effort and his just complacency in the spot he is. Because all he's going to talk about is the NBA and get those prediction wrongs, and the NFL and get those predictions wrong. So...
so here you go. I'm going to play this for you.
Actually, real quick before you go on to Stephen A. Smith. The reason I had asked when you were bringing up the point of how expensive it is to be a hockey player, and I somewhat obtusely asked what does that have to do with race, is that there are more poor white people who can't afford to play hockey than there are poor black people who can't afford to play hockey. So
we were talking about why NHL is not as popular around the country, and it's because of how expensive the sport is.
Right, and I would say that has to do with how expensive the sport is, not the color of anybody's skin.
No, but the thing is that like then I mentioned this that I'm about to show you right now.
All right, go.
Guru is such a savage, evil. Any truth to the myth that black people can't ice skate?
Oh my God.
I find it a rather interesting topic. I have witnessed myself. African Americans have legendary moves at the local roller skating rink. The New York Rangers had 3 black players on their team last
season. And they got and they have one of the best young and up and coming defensemen in the league.
You can't control the spit that comes out of his mouth, but he's very good on defense. Okay, now. We're gonna play this for you right quick, Lutch. His comments.
The championship next.
Rangers. Oh Lord! Come on, Patrick Kane is able.
They don't count.
They don't count.
They don't count.
Only thing I know about hockey is that the puck is black.
Now, if you want to make the case that was not a racist statement, I would love to hear the case, because they actually jinxed each other in unison, because you're both people who are non-white. Oh no, hockey doesn't count. That's not a real sport.
Yeah.
Because the only thing black in it is the puck.
Sure. So I stand by that. That's not racist, because he's just saying being the point of bringing up the fact that he's black is saying that culturally this is not something that matters to me. Is it condescending to hockey players? Sure, especially because you are Stephen A. Smith. But
Can I push back on that?
Disrespect and prejudice and racism, they're all different words because they all mean different things.
Okay, can I give you a little pushback on that?
Sure.
If he would have just said, "Hey, listen, I don't really know much about hockey, so I can't say," and he would have left it at that, without the negative body language and the rolling of the eyes and the "oh Lord" and his girlfriend sitting on the other side. Hockey doesn't count. It doesn't count. It's not a real sport.
I'm with you.
And then, like, if they would have left all of that out, I would agree with you, right? But they had to add the racial component for why it is not a legitimate sport. That's how it becomes racist, because you're saying the sport is not legitimate because it's not cool with black people.
Okay.
It's like when we watch fights, right? And you hear black people say, "Oh, this black fighter's fighting that white fighter. Oh, he better not lose to that white boy." That's a racist statement. It is. And you can't get away from that.
I mean, you definitely know Stephen A. Smith's mannerisms way better than I would.
And that's why I don't watch ESPN, because of him. He is the singular reason I do not watch the channel at all.
Best hairline in the game.
It's like back there.
Yo, it's like the land of the rising sun.
Bro, dude, listen, it's just a massive forehead. Best forehead in the game, dude. No question.
I think I got a 7 head.
You took my joke. You took my joke. I could take that. But it does. Just to play devil's advocate, it does sound like you're reading into what he said. And again, I'm giving you the credit that you would definitely understand the nuances of how he speaks better than I would.
Yeah.
That just sounds like kind of a not a big deal joke. That is, I don't know a lot about hockey.
It's a common racist joke that black people make about hockey. It's a common one.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So playing into that.
Notice how they said that shit in unison. She finished his sentence.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, and then, but so what's the how does that fit into the video the Cap did?
Yeah, so that was one of the videos that he did. So when you look at like how NHL is positioned in a very specific way, you could bring the game to more black people. So I was saying how there was during Black History Month, they did one of those. Oh wait, yeah, this is nice. Is the comment racist, or finding the comment racist actually racist? No, it's a common racist trope among black people to shit on hockey, and has been for a long time. Which is why I was offended by it as a black man.
But so this is the one thing I have to say is, Evil, as you know, like, because I went to my first high school was predominantly black, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the interesting aspects.
You were the
of that,
only hockey player in the school.
No. Only the white people. The only few we had were in there. But no, we had a black teammate of mine, right? And I don't know if you care if I'll say his name or not, so I'll maybe just not say it.
Oh, well, like when you guys traveled to Canada? That's
a different. He's actually
Talking about John Smith, right?
No, we played selects together. No, he was really good. But with the when he'd be playing hockey with us, right, at the academy, all the other black guys would be roasting him for playing it, right? Like, oh, what's up? Like, they'd be literally saying, like, what's up, Carlton? What's up, this? It was like, yo, like, dude's just playing hockey. And, like, it was just like, it was just wild.
It's so true,
man. And the funniest part is, we're all at, a private school now, and it's like, you're all the same. Lacrosse
is another sport that if a black person sees you playing that, It's on site.
But you're all the same income bracket, dog. Like, relax. Like, and it was like viewed if you played hockey and he dealt with it, like you weren't like quote unquote black enough, right?
And I've been
You-
saying this since I was in the fucking second grade. The most racism I've faced is from other black people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I think with when it kind of comes down to, I'll just mention that story, right? So like we were up in Canada playing in a tournament, and we were up there, and one of my black teammates where we played selects, and they were literally like saying some really fucked up shit that I obviously cannot say here, and like throwing banana peels and stuff. And I don't know how, I don't know if they figured out from the roster or whatever, and it's just, so I'm not saying there isn't some issues with the culture because I'd be blind to that, but I mean it's for whatever reason, especially with the black community, you feel like at least from my experience through my friends is that if you played hockey, you're not quote unquote black, right? So I don't know, just very.
That goes along with a lot of things that are, I mean, even on a much lower level, things like dressing not, gangster, or I don't know how we want to put it. Doing well in school, that kind of stuff. I mean, it seems connected. Would you agree?
No, I would agree definitely to a certain level, and I feel like there's, let's be fair, every race kind of does that to a certain extent. I mean, if white people, if you talk a certain way, right? Like, oh, well, stop talking like that, like, you know what I mean? Or if you're a different culture, I mean, like, I know a few of my, a few of my Haitian friends that grew up in their very strict households. If they didn't conduct themselves in a certain way, their family would be roasting them. But I feel like there is particular prejudice, inherent prejudice from every race. But it's just kind of sad in a way because I feel like in a sport, kind of getting back to the sport itself, the great thing about hockey, what I remember from my locker rooms, because they weren't really toxic. It was just a really nice unifying locker room where we didn't like none of the outside bullshit mattered. None of the craziness went on. None of the girlfriends that broke up with us mattered. We just went there on the ice for 60 minutes, played, and had a fun time doing it. And I just think that every race should be willing and open to be playing hockey or being involved in the sport because I think it's one of the most fun ones to be a part of.
I got a hot take, Cap.
What's that?
I believe that hockey, more than any other team sport on the planet, requires love from your teammates to play and play effectively.
Absolutely.
Go on.
Absolutely.
No, why do you say that?
Because I'm going to say why, and then Cap can let me know if I'm on track or not. Because the other sports are more technical. So you can hate, like a quarterback can hate his wide receiver, but as long as the wide receiver makes the break when he's supposed to, and the ball is where it's supposed to be, the play is going to succeed. In baseball, there's a lot of separation between players on the field.
Yeah.
One hitter goes up, and then the next hitter goes up, whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be an open communication between the pitcher and the catcher, but you can be successful without that. In basketball, as long as the guys are where they're supposed to be and they hit their shots, it's all good. But in hockey, where it is a super physical game, if you're not careful, if you're not in buddy lockstep with your guy, the opposing team is going to come at your guy with some bullshit. And in order for you guys to get out of there alive, you have to be willing to risk your personal safety to go in to have your teammates back.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what happens in hockey is not just what happens in the position. A lot of what happens in hockey is what happens on the boards, in the corners, fighting for pucks, in front of your goaltender. That's where the game is played.
Yeah. It's one of the most physically demanding sports out of all of them, in my opinion, because you're going faster than you are on foot. physicality's through the roof, and you need a cohesive locker room to be successful.
Absolutely.
when
You can't do without it.
I had more talented rosters I played with throughout my career, the team in which I won states with, our state championship, it was just like wasn't the most talented. We didn't have like the best players and the best fit, but we were the most cohesive brotherhood out of all of them, right? And it was like it just gelled on the ice because chemistry does really matter. I mean, you've seen not like I know Lutch, you don't watch hockey and you're kind of getting into it again. They're evil, but like you had situation where Eric Carlson of the Ottawa Senators, a team that was on the fringe of going to the Stanley Cup Finals years ago, right?
He's in San Jose now, right?
Yep, he's in San Jose now.
Yeah.
Mike Hoffman, Mike Hoffman's girlfriend at the time, if I'm recalling correctly, girlfriend or wife,
Mm-hmm.
insulted and made fun of Eric Carlson's wife, baby, dying. Right? It shattered the locker room. Everything started falling apart. Hoffman eventually ended up getting traded eventually. Carlson, because he felt like Ottawa didn't do as much as they should have, eventually
He asked for a
moved on.
trade.
And it just tore apart everything. And I'm not like chemistry matters in all sports, but with I feel like hockey more than others,
Mm-hmm.
it truly is like a brotherhood because lines 1 through 4 matter. Whereas I
Mm-hmm.
would argue in like an NBA lineup, you really just need 3 to 4 good players,
And like
defense.
5 serviceable players.
And 5 serviceable players, right? MLB,
And they
like,
could hate each other's fucking guts and still win the championship. Like
MLB,
Shaq and Kobe.
Exactly. MLB, right? You rarely interact with each other like that. Obviously, there's dugout, but you separated by yards and yards usually,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going up there individually hitting a baseball, which is one of the hardest things to do in sports. I mean, Barry Bonds was hated throughout his whole career,
He's a
but
cheating ass bitch.
that motherfucker's still raked. And
Mm-hmm.
when it kind of comes down to another sport like NFL, that would probably be the closest comparable to me.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's still defensive side of the ball and offensive side of the ball. Where in hockey, you're all playing offense, you're all playing defense, you're all in it together at the same time.
I'd say soccer's probably closer than football in terms of what you're talking about. But
You don't need to like your teammates to win in soccer.
The chemistry, there's not necessarily, the speed isn't necessarily there, but the physical toll is very different, but it's still very high. I'm pretty sure there's more injuries in professional soccer than in professional hockey.
That's because they flop a lot and they're bitches. That's why.
I mean, I'm not arguing that.
Listen, if you are
But the thing is, you don't need personal chemistry. You need professional chemistry in soccer. But in hockey, you absolutely need personal chemistry alongside the chemistry on the ice. Like the personal bond facilitates the professional bond.
You know what? And I'll actually do this one more to kind of to point it out here. So the Bruins, right? They're the best team in the NHL by far. What changed this season from last? They brought David Krejci back. Brought a couple, have a couple key, they have core members on that lineup, gelling together, having off-ice chemistry, really enjoying one another's company, and they're just absolutely tearing everyone apart. Well, I think they obviously have an elite level roster skill-wise. It's not like they're head and shoulders talent-wise above everyone else. Now, some of the trades they've made at the deadline defensively, their defense is insane at this point. But the reason why they were winning so much is they just had so much chemistry, and it was such a deep brotherhood, and you can kind of tell that. And then compared to other teams, even in the NHL, where maybe not as tight knit, they just kind of fall apart.
Do you want to answer this question, Cap?
So I'm real quick before you do. I'm wondering, do you think that because you can keep it up, it's relevant to the question.
Okay.
Do you think that the girl, because as Guru's saying, the girl left because of the cold weather, and then was clowned on? You were just talking about how much that personal chemistry really matters. I don't know this story. I'm just reading the comment.
I mean, our thoughts on. That's a difficult.
To me that if that personal chemistry is such a big deal in the game of hockey, and there isn't that there, then that even if nobody, well, not nobody, but certainly a lot of people don't like being cold. And even when you're playing, it's not like you're freezing cold. You're just playing in a cold
You're moving
environment.
around. Yeah.
So that's why, based on what you're just saying, maybe this girl was not experiencing that chemistry, possibly due to her race, possibly due to nothing tied to race at all. But I'm not familiar with the story, so I'm
Well, I'll say that they probably love their teammates, but these other external factors kept it from being, because it's a really tough sport to play. So if you have a bunch of external factors that make the game not fun, sometimes, just loving your teammates is not enough to overcome all of these other things. They had the parents and their friends and their classmates. When you're talking about being clowned, again, racist comments. Oh, you're supposed to be black. Black people don't play hockey. What are you doing? You're not real. And I went through it too. I went through that too. I've talked to you about that in the past.
Yeah.
So
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a unique. And then Paul has seen it personally where you go to Canada, to go play a tournament, and they're throwing fucking banana peels on the ice when there are black players on the ice.
Yep. I mean, it's just kind of they're like, I'm not sitting here saying hockey culture is perfect, because it's not, and I will kind of laugh at certain parts of people saying that Canada is this.
I'm not gonna lie, the banana peels is fucked up, but that did give me a chuckle.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, I'm sorry.
I know, but like
we're fucked. It's okay. This is a safe space to be fucked up. This is TSP.
There was another comment I saw that, like, oh, if we just got rid of all the American teams and went to Canada, there'd be no racial issues. And
no, there would still be.
and I laugh because I'm like,
they're more folk up there. What you mean?
So, some of those Canadian communities are not as accepting as people want to believe, and that's as I have a friend of mine. You probably know her as Floor, by the way, Evil, but it's been a while. But she lives in Edmonton, and she I mean, you still face stuff up there too. It's not some racial wonderland. I think people are very ignorant to believe that, because
they're just more polite with their racism overall.
I mean, like, when you're a human being, just like human beings anywhere, they just tend to be assholes. It's just kind of, it is what it is. But as for the young girl not kind of quitting hockey, and that's sad to hear. The cold climate's weird, because when you get skating and moving, like, you're sweating. So I've never.
Yeah,
really
but
been
then you get the cold air hit you when there's a stop in the action, and
Well,
then all that sweat. And then you get the cold. Oh.
Yeah, if you're not used to the cold and you're built the way I am, where I'm miserable outside of my home.
I hate
between
cold,
September and like next week.
That's the only thing me and Lutch agree on, except that I'm miserable until like the first week in June.
Well, yeah. Once it hits 70, then we good. Like 60, I'm all right with. Today is like
70 is not hot enough. I need 93 degrees.
No. See, it's too hot. It's too hot. I want it.
Listen,
85, light breeze, a little bit of clouds, overcast, so the sun's not in your eyes. Beautiful.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain.
Well, I mean, perfect weather for me is like 32 degrees out, maybe 40. Nice.
Well, you don't have a soul. So,
but going back to what you were saying about getting rid of the American teams and the idea that Canada is more woke than America,
or just not as fucked up.
Well, I would say the opposite is that the presence of wokeness is inherently a virtue signal. Yeah. So the more wokeness you see, the more racism you're likely to encounter. Wokeness is inherently intolerant.
I mean,
I disagree.
So if they're more woke up there, even if they may say they are more accepting of black people, they may say they're more accepting of LGBT, whatever. They may say this, but the reason that they do that is because they don't treat people like people, and they have to think of everybody as this tribe and that tribe and that tribe and this, and we like that tribe, and that tribe needs special. This is the mentality. The wokeness mentality, and this is why I separate. When I use these types of terms, I separate liberal, woke, and leftist. Those are three different things to me.
Yeah, they are. But I do disagree with your premise because, one, that's not how the woke movement started, is kind of what it
That's
turned into.
but it's certainly where it's ended.
Right. And we're not saying that Canada is woke. What they're saying is that Canada never had those types of strong discriminatory leanings to begin with. It just wasn't a thing for them.
Right.
And so I just, it's not that they're woke. It's just that they just never had those problems to begin with on the level of the United States. Remember, the United States was built on racism. It was built on slavery. Like this country is built on the backs of free black labor.
I'm gonna push back here.
But not in Canada. Canada's not like that.
Canada also slaughtered the own natives. Let's also be very clear here.
Yeah, that's just a different.
Let's be clear here. And this isn't a slander against Canada. I think America's done some fucked up shit. But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is like pretty much every single country has some fucked up stuff in their past. And obviously we're improving. As human beings, we should learn not to hate each other. I mean, right. I hope so.
That's never going to happen.
But at the same point, right? Canada's got its own skeletons in its own closet that's even just come out in the last handful of years. I mean, there was a massacre that got exposed because they found a bunch of skeletons and shit inside of a school. So it's, and I'd have to kind of get the story, so I don't want to be completely wrong with that. But yeah, it's just been, it's just very interesting to see some of the narrative. And plus, let's be real. Canadian money's monopoly money. It's not real. like you can't support a league. You couldn't support a league in Canada. That's why they moved down to the south. Like that's why the Quebec Nordiques, Quebec Nordiques. That's why
the
they moved to
Winnipeg Jets.
The Winnipeg Jets. Well, I mean, they came from Atlanta, and then
the original Winnipeg Jets.
The Winnipeg Jets moved. They moved, and then obviously they got another team because the team is faithful. Right? But if you really look at it, Canada doesn't have the money or the market or all of that to support more teams, in my opinion. You might be able to have another smaller market team like Winnipeg, but Winnipeg's not giving the money hand over fist. That's why there's such a massive expansion. Like the next team they want to make, which I hope they don't make another team. They want to go to Houston. Like they want to go to Houston, and like they've even thought about going back to Atlanta for a third time in NHL. I will say this very clearly: if you go back to Atlanta for a third time, you are fucking stupid. Like enough.
It's a majority black city.
It doesn't work.
It's just not going to work.
It's just not gonna fucking work. And you know what? While there was really poor management there, they did have a decent fan base. But you know what? One time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Third time, maybe I need a lobotomy because it would be friggin' pointless to go back to Atlanta. But anyways, they're rumored to try. They're rumored to try maybe, I think, Arizona because they're in a college stadium. They're trying to get like a arena done in Tempe because the Arizona and Glendale just not worked out. The Phoenix Coyotes were in Glendale. And now that the Arizona Coyotes, they haven't worked out. They haven't done great in Arizona. If anything, it's literally losing the league millions and millions of dollars each season. I think that's a team that could possibly get relocated, but for whatever reason, Bettman is very hard up for Arizona as a hockey community. So,
well, I do want to address the whole woke thing, and I want to make sure that I'm very clear. Now, Lutch very studiously and accurately said that there is a difference between somebody who is woke, somebody who's a leftist, and someone who is a liberal, right? Yep. Well, I have to also let you know that there is a difference between someone who is woke and wokeism. Okay, all of what you guys are talking about, right? Jeremy Lewis is mentioning it here. Seditionalist is mentioning it here, right? You're talking about a thought process of it's kind of like how the red pill has been hijacked by certain people who are not so savory, and they've kind of hijacked it in a way that gives even the subject of understanding how women operate. If you're a guy who's RP aware, you're a horrible guy. Right? They're trying to, but we know that the true principles of it behind some of the people that are like pushing it as almost like a trademark.
Right.
We know that those people, like the frauds in Florida, for instance, right? We know guys like that harm the truths, the RP truths, by the way that they frame these arguments. So when you're talking about being woke, right? And I remember before anybody was calling anything woke, it was people who would look at things. It was like the original red pill. It was the red pill discussion before we were talking about red pill in the context of women. It was red pill in the context of how Black people stand in greater society, because even myself, I was a person that thought that we were living in a post-racial society because, I'm living in upstate New York and I've got white girls looking to swallow my white load, and their dads are like, hey, so how are you doing? It's like, oh, this guy's not trying to put me in a freezer. Racism must be over. I thought that. But then
I hate you.
but then I had to take the red pill, so to speak, and then say, well, this is our history in this country. This is how our history in this country is still following us today, both by laws that are still on the books and laws that are not supposed to be on the books but are still in force, and other corporate policies that kind of keep Black people behind the 8 ball in little insidious ways that not everybody, including some Black people, are aware of. It's almost like we're asleep at the wheel. So it's like, wake up, wake up. These things are still happening, even though race relations have gotten better. We have to still look out for these other issues because they still exist. That's how it started. And then other people started co-opting it. Oh, well, wokeism is also, if you don't want to date a trans person, you're transphobic.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So
I'm a person that I am woke in that I definitely understand that there are certain important inequities that our society does have today. But what wokeism is, right? I would say wokeism is a disease because it is an intolerant position that says tolerance on its face, but then it wants to beat you over the head into submission and then try to shame you into agreeing with stuff that you're not really into. And you don't even have to be saying, oh, we're against that, because this is what this live stream is about. People were trying to say that Captain Paul is against Pride Night. And what he said is, no, I'm not against Pride Night. I'm against how Pride Night has been implemented in a way that you cannot win PR-wise. There is no way to win, because we've now seen 3 different instances with 3 different intensities. In Philadelphia, 1 player opted out. In New York, the players opted out, but the organization didn't. And in Minnesota, the whole organization opted out. But no matter how it happened, all 3 organizations and hockey players in general were destroyed because somebody chose to not highlight or promote something, which is very different than saying all gay people need to be stoned, like it said in the Bible, right?
Oh, Jesus
they didn't
Christ,
say any of that.
No.
They didn't say any of that.
So-
That's wokeism. That's wokeism.
Right.
That's the fucking problem.
okay, but when I'm saying at this point in time, I absolutely 100% agree with everything you said about the origins and what it means. And so when I'm saying woke, I'm talking about what woke means now. And to me, what that means is people who follow wokeism. And so you drew the parallel, and so I'm kind of thinking this in real time. You drew the parallel of the red pill space and people who consider themselves red pilled. In that case, you would say that
RP aware.
yeah, you're RP or whatever. So in that case, if you're RP aware, that doesn't necessarily mean you love the frauds in Florida or that you want to suck off Andrew Tate or anything like that.
Exactly.
I don't know that based on the definition or the way that I was using it, the word woke, meaning those who follow wokeism, no longer woke meaning what it originally meant. Because it has been co-opted by the followers of wokeism, now they are the woke. That is how I was using it, and I don't think that applies. I don't think you can, in the same way or in the way that you can be RP aware and not be, part of the mana swamp. I don't think that you can adhere to wokeism and not be the woke definition that I'm using.
No, but the thing is that like to concede what something is to the people that hijacked it would be improper. To say that the red pill is not true because of the frauds in Florida, jacking people's money for worthless courses, that would not be fair. To say that the red pill is not a true ideology and something that can help men because of people that are misusing it, that would be unfair. And what I'm saying is that being woke, there's nothing wrong with being woke and understanding what is actually happening in your society according to how your group of people is looked at and how they're treated. But the wokeism is the hijacking of it that makes people who are just, because the thing is, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm woke, right?
Right.
Am
Right.
I? And you see what I mean, right? I'm letting you know, Lutch.
Yeah.
I'm real woke because I
Yeah.
pay attention and I know what's going on. But
That's-
when you're talking about from the way that you see it, and the thing is, remember, I go back to, because remember when you guys found out about it is when the Republicans found out about it, which was years after people were talking about consciousness. We're talking about years, over a decade ago. We were in that woke space before woke was ever trademarked and indelibly stamped in the consciousness of all Americans, both liberal and conservative.
Agreed.
We go back way before that.
Agreed.
So I'm not going to be
Right.
lumped in with those guys, but I'm also not going to pretend that I am not the actual definition of what it is. I am aware, I am RP aware, both in the sphere of how my existence is in society as a man, how I am in society as a man dealing with women, and how I am in society as a black person.
I mean, we're all woke, like Traditional said. We're all awake here and talking. So, I mean, I definitely agree with that.
I have two examples that, or two analogies to see if
I believe Black Lives Matter. I'm not giving money to Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
If that makes any sense to you.
So that makes perfect sense. But so okay, you use the word hijack. That the word woke has been hijacked by the followers of wokeism. Is that fair? Is that fair?
Oh, they created it with the hijacking.
I'll be back.
So
Right.
so then if we're talking about I was just watching the Netflix thing with Malaysian Airways 3 whatever.
Oh, they're talking about the plane that disappeared.
Yeah, pretty cool. I didn't follow it at the time. It's pretty cool. But anyway,
That was the saddest thing I've ever heard of. Like, I would be mad if I was dead. I'd be even more mad if nobody found me.
I don't know how mad you'd be if you're dead. But anyway, the point.
Just the thought of it.
So you use the word hijack. So if you get on a plane and the captain is flying the plane, right? Then the plane gets well, I already said it, so sorry if it's if the plane gets jacked up, then the pilot is no longer the same person, even though that was the person who was supposed to be doing the thing. It has been hijacked, and so that is no longer the case. And language is how we use it. That's all language is. It is the sounds that we make to convey an idea. And so going back to the idea that I don't think you are woke. I think you are woke in the way that you're using it, but I don't think that's what woke means anymore. And so I would use the other comparison of feminist. There's a lot of women, not so much anymore, but the non-feminazi, like, 1990s liberal feminists who were just like, we want to be treated equally and all that, who aren't on board with this female supremacy. They can call themselves feminists, but when people use the word feminist, they're not thinking of women who just want to fight for equal rights, and that's not what they think of, and that's not, and whether that is the original definition or not, the words only mean the message that they convey.
But I know that I'm also not responsible for how you interpret what I said. I'm only responsible for what I said. So we know what is a straight man to you?
A dude who likes chicks.
Okay. Now you have some people who are trying to say that you are straight if you want to smash dudes that say that they're a chick.
So
Would you be straight would you be straight if you were basically smashing a dude in a dress? Would you
No.
say?
No. However, if
But
that
they're trying to change it to that.
if exactly. So if most people then say, yeah, that is straight. And that's what straight means, is that you now when people use the word straight in relation to relations, then they're talking about a man who is willing to be with somebody who presents as a female. That is what they are meaning by that word. This is the whole semantic obfuscation thing that I go on and on and on and on and on and on about. The whole reason you are not woke, well, now the whole reason you're not woke is because they have hijacked the word woke and through wokeism.
Do not put that up, by the way. Do not put.
No, come on, I'm smarter than that.
Listen, like,
So my thing is that by the true definition of what it is, and the thing is, me and you, we've had a lot of discussions about MMA, and they'll say, "Oh, this person got robbed, that person got robbed," and then we have to say, "Well,
what is it, robbery?"
We know what the fight looked like, but what does the unified rules of MMA state? Right? We have to bring it back to what it really is, not what people are trying to make it as when we determine what is.
Those are still the rules.
And that's what I'm saying. Woke still is what it always was.
It's not.
It's not what other people are trying to make it out to be.
You just made the argument that it was hijacked by the people who are
right.
woke.
But the thing is, a hijacked plane is still an airplane. And it doesn't make all other airplanes and other pilots bad.
That's not the part of the analogy that changes. A plane is still a plane. A word, woke, is still a word. It's just not the same thing it was before. So the plane being flown by a pilot going to their destination is not the same thing as some who is trying to go to.
And that's the difference. You can be woke, or you can be a follower of wokeism. That's the difference.
I think that's a bad hill to die on. I think you are going to create a lot of confusion for yourself and other people.
I'm not confused at all, because I know the difference. Because the woke, the woke,
and when other people
piss me off.
Okay,
as a woke person,
when other
people who are doing that woke, with that corporate woke BS, right? I get pissed off at those people.
Preaching to the choir here, but
right. And then for anybody that wants to say
this is evil, just grasping at straws here. You are not woke.
See, I wanted to say a word that's in our comment section. Thank you, traditionalists.
He's like, I'm woke. You're almost woke. You're almost woke.
Let's do a poll.
Stop.
Stop.
Shut up.
Shoot you. Is Dr. Evil Genius woke? Yes or no?
No, he's not fucking woke.
Let's be democratic. Because that's the whole point. Is that
by the actual definition of what being woke is, I am. But I am not your typical wokest asshole.
No, you're not
just
woke,
not.
though. You're not woke.
Hold on a second.
I mean, like,
and nobody's disagreeing with that sentiment.
No.
What we're disagreeing with is the words and that they're used.
And this is the definition. This is a definition of woke. Alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. And do you know how you know that people are on some bullshit? Because they're also trying to say, well, with sexuality, woke, that's woke too. Oh, with gender stuff, that's also woke. No. That's not what that is. It is an adjective derived from African American vernacular English, meaning alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. That is the definition. And no blue-haired, ultra non-binary with, a bunch of fucking adverbs and pronouns is going to change what it actually is.
Look up the definition of literally.
You're right.
Look up the definition of literally. And before you do that, why don't you tell me what you think literally means? Or just use it in a sentence. We're literally
he literally almost thought he was woke.
It's an adverb. In a literal manner or sense.
Oh, man.
Okay, anything else? Anything else?
Thanks for popping in, Jar Dog.
Use informal. The informal would be used for emphasis or to express strong feeling while not being literally true.
So the dictionary definition of literal is not literally literal.
All right, you're trying to confuse me.
Was that always the case?
No.
Or did literally at one point actually only mean literally and didn't mean figuratively?
But the literal definition, you still call literal because there's no other term for it, because its basic definition is still what it is.
I'm not identifying as somebody who uses literally. I mean, I do use. Actually, that's not even true. Because, but do you see the point is words change. Words should change organically. I'm not super happy about the literal and figurative thing because stupid people have changed that, but that was an organic change where people were starting to just, in a slang way, start to say, this is literally the worst day of my life. When, of course, obviously, they're not saying it's literally the worst day of their life. It's figuratively the worst day of their life. But because of the organic evolution of how people use the word, it is now the dictionary definition that is identical to
it's also known as
opposite of
informal.
literal. And that is exactly what happened with woke.
All right,
It's in the process of happening with woke.
This is browbeating at this point.
So I wanted to get back to
This is violence against black people. I will not tolerate it. I'm just not allowing it. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of dollars to these NHL teams ain't shit. I hate to tell you that. And I'll use this as an example, right? Because people want to keep going the military thing. Because I guess if you're for ending Pride Night, you're pro-military. It was the biggest leaping argument there, but whatever. The NFL got paid millions by the U.S. government for those military days where they had the jets fly over and they supported the military. Do you actually think the NFL gave a shit? I mean, do you think they cared? Do you think they really care about veterans? Maybe there's individuals, to be fair, to the NFL, like people within the organizations itself, that do care about this issue. But you know what the NFL looks at? That's a check. Millions of dollars? Yes, please. I will take that and keep making money. That's all it is. They're making money. And that's all Pride Night is too. They're just using it in a situation to get money off of you. I mean, my co-host, DEG,
that's me.
He's a black male who has struggled with a lot of racism in his life.
Mostly
we've had a really
people.
good conversation. That's why I suggest you check out the channel. For example, Black History Month. Do these companies, organizations, these brands, do they actually care about black people? Do they? Maybe some do. Maybe some have a...
Anybody notice how many days are in the month for Black History Month?
28.
You gotta get that shit over with, man. We can...
a very good track record, but overall they don't. They're just looking at it as a marketing plan, and that's just my viewpoint on it. That's why I'm not for the promotional nights. I'm there to watch a sport. I'm there to get away from any type of bullshit. Sport is a unifying thing. That is what is the great thing about sports. You can come from many different backgrounds, but when you're playing a sport together, watching a sport together, it doesn't matter your political opinion. It doesn't matter what way you live your life. You're there cheering the same team. It's a unifier. And unfortunately, due to political climate currently, it's more of a divider than anything else. And that's just my take on it. So for those idiots that kept assuming that I'd be pro-military and I'd be upset if they ended military night, well, surprise for you idiots, I don't give a shit. I just don't care. Have these teams meaningfully spend money. That's it. As someone, as myself, who's worked in group homes, someone that has worked in soup kitchens, had my friend move in with me for months at time because his family was anti-trans, so she could kind of figure out her life. I know the type of person and the heart I have. Don't be making massive assumptions about people you truly don't know.
Yeah, you want to speak on this?
Well, it was one of those things that I find comedic in a way that a lot of people want to say you're the worst thing in the world, and if you say get rid of Pride Night, you're this or this, right? Which is funny because I've worked in at-risk communities my whole life. Like, my mother ran a home with people with mental disabilities, and since I could walk, I've helped people with needs. Like, I used to work with the Special Olympics and help fundraise and help get that in Rhode Island as well. Like, it's like the foundation in my childhood was giving back to the community I came from, understanding that, I have a lot of positive things in my life and I can help benefit some young people or people at risk. And it's just very interesting to hear people that do not know you, do not know your character, try to put words in your mouth or say that you are the worst possible human being. Where, quite frankly, and I'm not trying to say sound this arrogantly, probably haven't done half the shit you have done in your own, like they haven't done half the shit in their own life that I've done, right? Because like most of the people, and I'm just gonna be very blunt here, because I've seen it in soup kitchens.
Keyboard warriors.
People love to talk that shit. People love to say, "Oh, I'm woke. I'm this. I'm that." I don't see your ass in a fucking soup kitchen. I don't see your ass at these events raising money. I don't see you helping a group home where young black males, right, at risk, have no other mentor to go to, are coming to you crying because they can't afford like a $3 fucking wrench to fix their bike that their foster parent will buy them because they're in an abusive situation, right? Like I've got it, that's where it kind of
Oh,
gets.
they're not even willing to make a video. They're just in the comments of your video.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, welcome to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you definitely. I mean, that comes with the territory. But
Yeah.
it's I mean that's on the one hand you have to assume that some people are just like that dumb, but
Yep.
you on the other hand it's like we all know to expect that because
Yeah.
that's how people are. So it's not a matter of it's just like, oh, it's only the worst people in the world who are in the comments. But I don't think that's a good representation of how people actually that's where the whole keyboard warrior came from.
You're stupid.
Is that that this is how people act online and not in real life. And I
Yeah,
think having more conversations like these will fight back against that, and then show that like there's no honor, there's nothing. Yeah,
You don't have to earn your virtue points when you just sit behind your fucking keyboard.
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think when people hide behind an icon, and I get it's the internet to a point, but it's like to the point where I get annoyed is like people putting words in my mouth. It's
Mhm.
like, what?
Or putting intentions or emotions or feelings or
Intentions
opinions
my
into your
motives
heart.
or my belief system. It's like, motherfucker, you don't know me. And if you were in
Mhm.
front of my face saying that shit, we'd have a
Mhm.
completely different conversation because you wouldn't
Mhm.
be as loud and brass as you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's kind of amusing in a way. And that, like, I don't care. I understand
I
it comes
find it
with the
offensive.
internet.
I'm not the least bit amused.
Yeah.
I probably took more offense to people trying to do this to you than probably you. I'm going to answer Guru's question for two reasons. One, it's something I've actively thought about, and two, this stupid ass emoji motherfucker right here. Okay.
I'm just curious.
Okay. So I'm going to say yes, but for one reason, because I've been on the fence about this for a long time. If you look at the history of reparations in the world, literally the only group that have not received them are ADOS.
Huh?
ADOS and FBA. American descendants of slaves or foundational Black Americans are the only group of people that have had a wide mass scale atrocity committed against them and not received reparations. So when I look at it from that vantage point, a lot of bad things happened to the Japanese to Japanese Americans after Pearl Harbor. They came up off them reparations real quick, fast, in a hurry.
To the people that
Slavery.
were affected though, directly affected though, right?
Yes, but even the people that were directly affected, and a lot of what happened to us, our ancestors, affects where we are at the bottom of the social totem pole today. So,
Yeah.
so that's this is the comment of the stream right here. I gotta give you something.
You stupid.
Yeah.
I gotta give you something on that one. That was but yeah, when I look at it just from like that, every group, and the thing is, Jewish people still receive reparations, and none of the people, they killed 6 million of them. So, no matter how I tried to slice it, being the only group that hasn't received anything at any part in our history, to me, it's only fair. And I think that in a lot of ways, it's kind of like if you didn't pay your bill, your credit card bill, you think they just stopped counting the interest? No, that shit compounds. So just because it happened for a long time ago doesn't mean you get to skate on it. In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
I mean, I'll disagree in some aspect, and I kind of don't want to make it about this stream, but I'll just be blunt. It's such a, I mean, how would you even calculate doing it? I don't know. It's just such a.
But everybody
Pandora's
wants to
box.
everybody wants to make it, some how practical is it? But nobody was thinking about that when they took black people against their will and did a whole bunch of ugly, disgusting things to them over a 2-century period, 2 century plus. Nobody was thinking about that back then when they were building the country off of it and getting rich themselves off of it. Nobody was thinking about the logistics of what would happen if you had to pay these people back. So, to try to, like, for me, I do get a little annoyed when people always want to tell the person that's oppressed that we have to be very sensible about making things right. And no, you weren't thinking. It's kind of like when somebody, does a mass shooting. Do we need to be sensible? No, put a bullet in his head or torture him to death. I don't care, because he wasn't thinking about that when he killed all those people. So that should happen to black people in mass, and everybody wants to be reasonable when you're talking about trying to undo or try to pay back or show some sort of token that shows that there's some sort of contrition or some sort of acknowledgement of what happened to those people. And so it's like I don't want to hear about reasonableness right now. Not right now.
I'm just saying, because I kind of, like, I'm not gonna lie, my hip's starting to kill me. But I think when it kind of comes down to it is the practicality of it and how you would exactly execute it is my thoughts. That's where it kind of comes down to.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult, but figure it out.
Reasonable.
I don't want to say too much. It's going to start a whole thing, but I mean, it's more than that. There's better reasons why reparations are not a good idea, and I don't think it would help the way people think it would, and I think it would do a lot more damage than good.
Yeah, of course, because it's black people finally getting reparations. The only group that has never gotten it.
It's because the country is already heavily in debt as it is.
But again, we wouldn't even have this country today if not for slavery.
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely
so that's what I'm saying. Like all of that practicality talk. Nobody was talking about that when black people were being raped and murdered in mass. Nobody was worried about that back then.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I am making a separate point that is not mutually exclusive from that. Yeah. Absolutely, all the things that you said were just as horrible as you said them. I just don't think that when we have stuff like I just dropped a video on how Walmart dipped the fuck out of Portland because they just couldn't make money. And this is Walmart not being able to make money because of the shoplifting.
They later admitted that they lied about the shoplifting, how bad it was, and why they pulled out. They later admitted to lying about all of that.
That doesn't change the fact that Portland is a shithole, and there is more and more of that happening.
Mrs. Eva was just in Portland. She didn't see a shithole when she was there. She was just there not that long ago.
Okay, where? I mean, really? Where are we?
In the city of Portland. This was she went to Portland in December.
Okay, so you go move to Portland then. I don't want
to say that you had to move to Portland. I'm just saying it's not a shithole.
And I'm saying that if regardless of what the absolute truths that you're saying about the past, we are all now living in the present, and I don't think it is a good thing for America to weaken America as a whole for certain Americans.
Well, pilots should have thought about that before they went and did the things they did.
I agree with you, but it's too late for that. I didn't have the opportunity to think of that. I wasn't alive. My ancestors weren't here.
Well,
my ancestors have nothing to do with black slavery.
I think what I think your real problem is. You don't want me to just buy your baby straight cash after becoming the world's richest man in a dice game. That's really what your problem is.
What did you just say?
Only me and Guru, I guess, is gonna understand understand that reference. Let's get back to the video.
Because, quite frankly, you look fucking stupid. And I just want to kind of wrap the video off by this. People complained about the Christian comparison. It was a simple analogy. That was it. It's a 3-minute and 14-second video I did at the seat of my pants. That's it. Popped into my head while I was talking because there is a lot of comparables there. There really is. And I'm merely saying, Pride people, if you're watching this long, which I hope you are, if you were forced to wear a cross to endorse Christianity, or even, let's say, Islamic or Judea, any of these faiths that in their scriptures do not believe in your existence, you would be rioting in the streets. And whether you want to
For good
acknowledge
reason.
what I'm trying to say here or not,
Look at this
those
breakaway.
pride flags, those pride colors, to Christians, to people of faith, to people of various different backgrounds that really don't believe in that style of life, that's exactly what it is to them.
And herein lies the rub. If you go and you look, because Wikipedia has a list, American Indian tribes were given reparations. They absolutely were.
As a whole.
And black people got absolutely nothing.
You're missing the point. There are many Native American tribes that had their entire history erased, and are now
They did what they could with the information they had. Right? We have extensive information on slavery in America from the 1400s through 1865. So, again, when you look at what happened to the Japanese, what happened to the Jews, all these other different people, you will see that reparations of some kind was at least made an effort or an attempt.
All right,
But
so
when it comes to black people, everybody could find a reason or 17 why they can't try to even attempt to make right. And that's what black people get annoyed at. Like, it's always like everybody wants to talk about gay rights and all this other stuff, but how is it that gay people got more rights than black people? And like, we have a longer history of this bullshit.
So this is the one thing I'm going to kind of because I really don't want, I actually thought this would be a really good podcast to maybe have tomorrow where we can get a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have the articles in front of me, but when it kind of comes down to it, right? Like, let's talk about the ugly truth in the room here. When slavery was going on, it wasn't like Europeans were like getting fishing nets, catching black people. They were being sold to by African villages, African kings, and stuff like that.
That is part. That some of the slaves were sold that way.
But what I'm saying here is this, and this is where it kind of comes
so
down.
how do you determine which ones were?
Some of them were captured by Arabs. Some of them were captured by Europeans.
Right, but
they were all just African people selling African people.
But what I'm saying here
the
is
networks
this.
were extensive, including Europeans snatching black people off the land.
Let me expand, right? Because I've been letting you talk. Let me just kind of say this and kind of wrap it up. While yes, slavery is abhorrent, every single race, every single culture has participated in it. And the problem, right, when it kind of comes down to, I agree with you that there should be some form, right?
That's the only thing I'm saying. Just some form, just make some attempt.
But the ugly truth in this whole aspect is, you also had black people selling black people into slavery, brown people selling black people into slavery, right? Brown people selling brown people into slavery, Asians selling Asians into slavery. The ugly truth is, human beings, we are a conquer or be conquered society, right? We are not all nice and kumbaya that people want to pretend to be. Because if you look throughout history, whether it be any continent within the world, it's either conquer or be conquered. And I'm not saying that there's ugly shit that hasn't happened and is irreprehensible, that as we've evolved over time and realized, wow, that was pretty fucked up. The problem in which that lies this is, how meaningful can we really make reparations? How would we exactly do it if you want to go that route? How could we financially pull it off? I mean, when it kind of comes down to it, right, because I have friends of mine, I call him Chief because he likes to call that. He, they have territories for Native Americans. Do we maybe do something similar, for black people. Give them something inherently their own. I mean, there's a conversation we could kind of have and maybe try to figure out. I'm just not sure of the motive and which way we could do it. But it's just I'm kind of addressing the ugly truth in the room. It's not just a bunch of it wasn't just Europeans. It was a lot, like you said, Arabs and black people themselves selling their own people into slavery for shiny shit or for beads or whatever. And it's just because.
Also, one of the things you have to understand, Cap, is that I'm not saying that the United States has to pay for the entire cross-Atlantic slave trade. What I'm saying is that you pay for this country's involvement, not for other people's involvement, for this country's involvement, because other countries have done stuff for people that have been done wrong. This country has done stuff for people who have done that they've done wrong. Korean Americans, Chinese Americans, Japanese Americans. The list is long. They did something.
Right.
And so for me, again, there's only one thing that annoys me about this conversation. There's only one thing.
Okay.
Is that people, when you hear reparations going to black people, people are very quick to list all the reasons why we shouldn't do it. But nobody was like, well, yeah, we shouldn't, pay those Japanese American people back for, basically calling them traitors when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and all this other stuff. Nobody was talking about that. Nobody was looking for reasons.
Let me ask you a question.
Looking for reasons why not. And so black people have this perception of the world that was good for the goose is never good for the gander if the gander is black. So every single time we look at, such and such situation, you look at the black equivalent and it ain't equal.
What? So this is what I'd argue.
Energy.
Let me just go real quick here, Lutch. So this is my argument, right? So when the internment camps happened in World War II, right, which were abhorrent and shouldn't have happened in the first place, but whatever, right? That happened. That was ugly. When was reparations done? Was it done relatively soonly after the fact, within that decade, after the war?
So because they didn't do the right thing back then, we should continue to not do the right thing.
Yes. But let me expand on it. Let me expand on it. So the internment camps happened. They did it within the decade, correct? The Native Americans, when did they give them territories? When did they give them? Guru. When did they give them lands? Right.
I mean, so, a couple hundred years after they screwed them over. And then after they gave them the lands, they then went back on the treaties that they signed and then took over more of their land, which they are still doing today. They have not stopped encroaching on the lands they so-called gave them.
Yeah, with the federal land. Yeah, no, that's a whole different.
So,
Wait, but hold on. What was your point, though?
But what my point here is just generally overall, we're kind of in a situation here where it's like, okay, who is being directly affected, right? Who came over here due to American involvement in slavery, right? Because we're also the ugly truth we don't want to take into is that it's more than just when we were formed as a nation. This has been a generational thing. Like slavery's been like the British colonies, right? That's way back in there where they were fucking taking over everything, right? I don't know
they still own those colonies, by the way.
Well, yeah, how you? Well, listen, like I said, it's either be conquered or conquered. But when it kind of comes down to it, how would you go forth and make it work in a fiscal sense and also in a meaningful sense?
Nigga, give every nigga a fucking coupon for a slice of pizza. Do something, not nothing.
But my thing is the thing is that right. You also have a lot of social programs, right, where you can that they try to do. I mean, I mean this in a meaningful manner. Would it be more prudent to have actually maybe some? How would I put this? Maybe some systems in place where you could actually help impact Black lives more.
Well, that's what the people want. I think that people
more than just
are willing.
$1,000.
Right, like people are willing to do that, but anytime it gets brought, all the Republicans are like, they shoot down every proposal. And there's been a bunch of different proposals like that. A fund, to help, Black people learn about money and businesses and things of that nature. There have been so many different proposals raised, and the Republicans destroy every single one of them. And people eventually just get tired and then start assuming that your issue isn't with not doing the right thing because you've done right thing by other people. It may not have been to the level that they actually deserve, but you found what you could budget and you did something.
So excuse my ignorance when I say this, but because I just genuinely don't know off the top of my head because I don't have it in front of me. When's the last time?
Don't worry,
the
I'll just
US
drop a dislike on your video and just assume that you believe stuff in your comment section.
So when's the last time has the U.S. government giving something similar like reparations to a people? I do not know.
That would be in the aftermath of World War II, I think was the
Okay.
last time. Or I think they might have done something a little bit more recently for Jewish people.
Okay.
Because a lot of their riches were stolen and is spread around the world. So part of the reparations was to try to give back a lot of the heirlooms and the valuables that were stolen from the Jews in World War II and the lead up to World War II. In fact, I think Germany just released more of their stuff, and some other country recently released more of their stuff back to them.
I'm saying kind of like American direct involvement. So like probably
I think that they returned some stuff to Jewish people.
So 1945.
Action. Would you count that as a form of reparations?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, and so how did that go?
Like the Jewish people took their stuff back.
No. Affirmative action.
Oh, affirmative action? I thought that affirmative action was one of those hollow things that you did. It's kind of like, the Rooney Rule. Do you know what the Rooney Rule is, Lutch?
No.
I'm going to let Cap explain to you what the Rooney Rule is.
So the Rooney Rule is essentially a rule passed by because Rooney of the Steelers fame, that you have to interview one black candidate for a head coaching job in the NFL before you hire anyone. Now, there's been cases where people haven't followed it, or they
I know it sounds stupid, right?
And they have a token black guy that they get. They always kind of interview but never hire, which then makes his, the propositions of him getting a future head coaching job like, oh, he was interviewed like 10 times, didn't get the job, he must suck, and then he just kind of gets blackballed in a certain way. But that's the Rooney Rule. Essentially, you have to interview a black candidate for an open head coaching job.
Yeah. So the only thing that really did, it was a really hollow attempt to try to like cover over racist policies that you knew existed, because that black people weren't getting a fair shake, which is why they even created the concept to begin with. Now, me and you were going to agree that affirmative action on its face sounded like a good thing and was a negative thing for everyone involved, including the black people, because the black people could not get a fair shake where they worked because people just assumed that they were incompetent and just got the job by virtue of their black skin. So the real thing would have been if companies would have said, this black candidate is as good as everybody else, let's give him a shot. Instead of how they tried to implement it. And in some cases, they would hire the incompetent black person, watch them fail, and say, see, this is why we shouldn't do this. So there were a lot of scams run with it. It wasn't anything concrete. We're just like, listen, we're sorry about what happened in slavery. We're sorry that there are billions of hours worked for free under duress and abuse and mass murder. We're going to make this gesture for this amount. I don't care what the amount is. I don't care if it's spread and everybody gets 75 cents and a lollipop. Right?
You do care. You just said that affirmative action counts, but it was hollow and it wasn't good enough.
No, I said no, it doesn't count because it was hollow and it was not a good faith effort. It was something to make us think that it was something that was good, but it fucked everybody over. So I thought that you were asking about something else, about the Jewish thing.
Fair enough. So even still, I think I don't see how giving a lollipop and 50 cents is going to be any different than that. Because then you're still going to have racist rhinos being like, all right, fine, we'll give them this money. They're going to ruin it anyway. And then a bunch of people, just because people are people, not because they're black, but because people are still going to waste money, still going to, and then all this tax money is going down the drain. Then there's the other aspect I put in the chat that my family did not get here until the 80s. So it's not necessarily about who is getting money. Where is this money coming from? Are we taking money from the American government? Because the American government's money is my money, is your money, is Cap's money. And if my family was not here until the 80s, then why am I being now oppressed by the government and stolen from to give to other people? And I said specifically, reparations capital should have been given. Full stop. But they weren't. And that's fucked up.
Yeah, so we should keep we should continue to keep ignoring that because
Nobody said ignore.
it might inconvenience some. I mean, I'm just gonna put this out there. The people that made this country possible for you to come to, I would say that their inconveniences were pretty substantial compared to some tax dollars. But that's just my viewpoint on it. For me, it's just a little bit disappointing. It's just disappointing for me.
Money is stolen from me as long as you get what you want. You don't care if I'm oppressed as long.
It's not even about want. It's about doing the right thing. And again,
how is stealing my money the right thing? How is stealing my family's money the right thing? You getting money may be the right thing, but if it's coming out of my pocket when I had nothing to do with slavery, that's not the right thing. You don't care about my oppression as long as it deals with your oppression. So I'm with you that that what was done was wrong, and that absolutely there should have been reparations in one way or another. And those people fucked up and didn't do it. The solution to that is not now to fuck up society even more to help some people and not others. The solution is to get everybody as best we can to an equal starting point. Obviously, it's never going to be equal, but equal access to the opportunities that are available, so that we can recover from the inequalities, the oppression, whatever that has happened. And hang on this this idea that 400 years ago this happened, so now today we need to do this is not only legitimately something that people can argue against without being racist. It is hurting the entire mindset of how in my opinion, the black community sees the country. That it was white Americans who stopped slavery. There's still slaves around the world right now, but not in America, because of white Americans. So it goes both. This is history. It's just conquer or be conquered, as Cap said. I agree with you. It was fucked up. Should have gotten reparations. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. The time has passed. The people who did the offenses and the people who were affected directly by them are no longer here. I'm not saying there's no effects that have trickled down. But then we have to go into, okay, what about mixed families? What if the mom is a white?
We're going to find every excuse to not do the right thing. We're going to find every excuse in the world.
Excuse or
reason? Again, we were not having debates like this for other people. But when it comes to black people, yet again, and this is another reason why black people were so angry when Colin Kaepernick got blackballed. Because people were getting fucked over by the police right now. We're not talking about 400 years ago. We're talking about right now. And then the people wanted to say, well, we don't like your peaceful protest because of where it's done and all this other stuff. We're gonna put our fingers in our ears and say, we don't care about all the things that you've gone through because it's happening to you. Black people are tired of it. Every single time we say, you know what, we're getting fucked over. Can we stop doing it? And can somebody show some contrition? And people are like, no, we have a different idea.
Or we could say, I thought we were talking about slavery. We could talk about cops. It's your show. If you want to talk about cops, let's talk about cops.
No, you're not getting the spirit of what I'm saying, Lutch.
Well,
what I'm saying is
you're putting it in my mouth, telling me I'm making excuses for shit when I'm giving you reasons for my.
No. What I'm saying is that there's, for me, your reasons why
may not be good enough. Don't call them excuses.
No, I'm telling you, because the thing is, you're not bringing up stuff that is novel that we haven't heard for several generations already, because people made the same claims 100 years ago. They made the same claims 200 years ago. They made the same claims 300 years ago when they were still holding the slaves. Because do you know why the Ku Klux Klan was formed? Because they were deathly afraid that black people were going to take their revenge for what they did to them the previous 300 years.
Okay.
So there's always something. Always something. It's all like, hey, black people are getting fucked over. Can we do something about it? Nah, See, this is the reason why we shouldn't. Oh, black people getting fucked over in this other way. Can we like find a way to like stop doing it and to like make those people somewhere closer to whole? No, actually, that the logistics for that doesn't work. Hey, can we stop killing black people in the streets? No, man, you're protesting the military, even though you said you're not protesting the military.
Secretary, why is she the press secretary? Because she's good at her job? Are they good at their jobs? Or is it because they were given special privileges to get opportunities that other people who were more appropriate for those positions didn't get those positions? Where's the Indian people who are first in line for a job because they're Indian? Indians haven't been oppressed? You could go back through history, and everybody has a claim for something. And this is my point. Yes, you did try 300 years ago, and then 200 years ago, 100 years, and you're still making the same argument. Maybe try something else.
Okay, but everybody else gets reparations. All right,
I'm not saying that that's not wrong. I'm just saying this is a losing battle.
And we shouldn't try because it's a losing battle. Guru.
You try something different. What did I say? Did I say don't try, or did I say try something different?
We've already covered this. Pay attention, Guru. Pay attention. We covered affirmative action.
Talk about that. What
you know what I'm saying? We covered this already. Yeah. Lutch, your homework assignment, and you can do this with your people on in your voice chat, because I think that you guys would really enjoy this. Go back and watch together Chappelle's Show seasons 1 and 2. Do that for your soul. Okay. I promise you that you will not be disappointed. Kat?
I mean, I'm okay.
Kat, you I think you are kind of lost on it too, because you didn't get the references. This is a reference, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
This is yeah, you got just do this for your souls.
I know it's a reference, dude.
Chappelle's Show seasons 1 and 2. Do this for your souls. I guarantee you, Lutch, you will not be disappointed.
So wasn't disappointed the first time. I'm sure I won't be disappointed the second time.
Oh, you've seen it. So how did you not catch this?
Because I don't remember every skit. Like, I mean, I wasn't.
No, this is one of your top 5 skits.
Okay, I mean, now that you pull it out, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's what you're talking about. I just didn't realize it when we're having a serious conversation about race relations in America and wokeism and all this.
Yeah.
I didn't have Chappelle on the mind. That's all.
No.
I mean, listen. Yeah. Like, I know we're talking about real serious issues, but I need reparations for my hip. Just saying.
You can sub out. I just want to finish. The last 3 minutes of your video.
Right. Pride colors, the flags, is like a cult/religion to them. That's why I made that analogy. I'm not saying it's one for one.
It's a fucking religion.
I'm not saying that's the case at all. The point of an analogy is to try to make the other side see how things can look from the other's.
From a principle standpoint, it doesn't need to be a 1-to-1 comparison for it to be valid. Oh, he's got abs now. It's not. It doesn't need to be a 1-to-1 an exact match copy for the principle that is being explained to have validity, right?
Oh my God, that is something. Sorry.
No. Speak on it.
When people can't understand analogies or hypotheticals, and you're trying to talk about something, and you're like, okay, let's take it, especially when it's something like this, where it can get very personal and very heated. It's like, all right, let's take it out of this context and use the same concept. And let's talk about, if there was a duck that had this, that, and they're like, but there's no duck.
Oh, remember when we were doing the first Filthy Casuals? And we would say, well, this fighter is kind of sort of like this. No, it's not the same. I used to get so pissed off. Oh my God. But yeah, I know that's an issue for you. Yeah, hell yeah.
Man,
well, I mean, it's a sign of intelligence.
That's it.
To do that.
Stop trying to say I'm using my Christianity or my Christian viewpoints as a bigoted means.
And you know why, Cap, you know why this particular comparison works?
What's that?
Because when people want to force gay people to go through conversion therapy, what religion are they normally?
Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that there is no correlation. This is a very valid compare and contrast, right? If somebody wanted to Bible thump and tell you that you're going to hell for sinning because your cheeks like some meat, right?
I decided you said it, Fiona.
Right?
Cheeks are unpenetrated.
You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody wanted to do that to you, right? And try to browbeat you and try to shame you into not being gay, that would be wrong. I'm telling you that would be wrong. Cap, would you say that would be wrong, Cap?
Yep.
Are you a proponent of forced conversion therapy?
Wait, what?
Are you a proponent of forced conversion therapy?
No,
right?
Not at all.
But you're pro-choice on that one, right? If they want to get conversion therapy, it should be available to them if they want it themselves, right?
I'm not touching that shit with 10 people. Just keep playing the fucking video.
You don't know my belief system. You don't know what I believe in. And you look stupid trying to make that assumption. Listen, I'm going to end this video off by this because I don't want to throttle on and on and on. I understand on the internet that you are dealing with people that are highly irrational. Regardless of how much facts or evidence you put forth, they're going to believe in their side. And on this channel, on TSP, we talk about that a lot. Like from the right and left, you have these extreme fringes that are unwilling to use common sense, and just regardless of how much evidence is put forth, they're going to stick with their side because I believe in the red side and I believe in the blue side. The negative feedback and the controversial takes, and I would even say some of the bigoted positive comments I got, prove the fact that me and my co-host DEG have been saying here for a bit on TSP. We are more divided than ever, and regardless of how polite, how well thought out, and how careful with your messaging, if you do not view things lockstep with a certain ideology, the other side will try to tear you down and make you to be the worst human being in the world. For all the love and the acceptance people try to say they're about, you're not. You're the same as the other side. That's all you are. If you watched my video, and I rewatched it a couple times because I'm like, there's something I flipped up. If you watched my video and tried to get an assumption that I'm some massive bigot, homophobe, you are just clearly missing the mark because I'm not saying all the right keywords that you want to hear. In a video in which I was extremely careful and respectful to everybody and trying to show the viewpoint of the other side.
Well, you were not respectful enough, Cap, because you did not pledge your butt cheeks to a penis.
Instead of
fucking
sitting down,
calm
listening,
down.
maybe
God.
having some thoughtful comments, you go to the ad hominem attacks because you can't counter what I'm saying.
Bang! Right there! Right there! Right there!
Yep.
That right there. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's it. There it is. There's the ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
You have to say that Cap is of this and Cap is of that, and then you have to create a whole backstory for his life.
Yeah, like a villain arc story, yeah.
Because he is simply saying people should have the right to promote the things that they want to promote and not promote the things that they don't want to promote. And you made it clear in plain English. And when we spoke on the phone before we decided to go live, I made the comparison of what people are doing to you and what people did to Colin Kaepernick. Did it not make sense when I explained it to you? The principle of it?
No, it made sense.
Right? Colin Kaepernick was very clear. This is about police brutality in America. I do not believe that America actually lives by the tenets of the national anthem. So therefore, you don't respect the national anthem with your actions. So why should I care about it because you're singing it? He was very clear. And he sat on the bench first, and a member of the military said, I need you to get up off the bench, show some respect by taking a knee. Right. A white Army Ranger said, I'm going to need you to show some respect. I get what your problem is. And you know what Cap did? He said, I got you. I'm going to take a knee respectfully.
That was a big
And, and what did people tell him his message was, Lutch?
that he hated the military. He hated him.
This is what they just did to Cap. Cap says, you know what? This the positive PR that they could have gotten is impossible because either you violate somebody's immutable First Amendment rights or the whole league gets dragged when Provorov says, you know what? I'm just not going to take part in the skate. Right? Provorov did not announce that he was not going to take part in the skate. He just simply didn't do it. And everybody asked him, well, where's Provorov? Like he's fucking Connor McDavid or something. Or Alexander Ovechkin. Did you actually notice he wasn't on the ice?
No.
Come on, man. And the thing is, it's the disingenuous nature of it all that pisses me off.
Yeah.
So
none of y'all motherfuckers give a shit about hockey. Now everybody's in your fucking comment section. How many of you gay motherfuckers actually know anything about hockey?
But here's the thing, guys. Is it like this is you know this is the nature of the internet. So I mean, this is a genuine question. Are you surprised by this? Are you like were you caught up?
No, but we're going to keep pointing it out.
I mean,
because they want to attack the person and not the ideas. Notice how you just annoyed the shit out of me, but I still love you, TIJ, right? Because it's not about you. It's about the fucking topic. Attack the fucking topic, not the person. Yeah. So if I can do that with you telling me, well, fuck what happened to your people. Yeah, it was fucked up, but hey. Everybody else gets reparations, not you. You lost your time. You know, move your feet, lose your seat, right? Right?
I mean,
I'm not going to say you're a bad guy, right? I'm going to say that your take is shitty, right? But I've got nothing but love for you. And that's what this fucking platform is about, right? I can sit up here with a bunch, because the thing is, you can think you guys are the only conservatives on this topic. I don't think anybody backed me in the comment section on reparations. Nobody. I still love all of you motherfuckers. Because this is not a one subject platform.
Right.
This is not a binary fucking, 0 and 1 situation. Right?
But
that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Well, I was just asking because, like, I was getting hate from the jump just from my name and the fact that I am an atheist, but I lean more conservative. I talk shit about religion. I get it from all angles. And just like that's the game. You should be proud that you elicited, because those people are going to be dumb no matter what. You're not going to convince them of anything.
So but you're trying to show other people that see the conversation
exactly
what it actually is.
Well, like my big thing is just making sure I get a fucking clean narrative out there and make people understand. Like,
but you did though.
Listen, I know, and I understand. I'm not gonna like work with the idiots that are angry about a video. I understand this is the nature of the internet. Now, mind you, I've had a couple different channels, and I definitely understand how vitriolic the internet can get. It doesn't bother me.
Well, you added to it. Let's just be fair.
I mean, that is fair. But it is very, it's saddening in a way that people do not think with a rational brain. I mean, the video's blown up. I mean, heck, just keep dropping those dislikes if you're that angry. I don't really give a shit. I really don't. Like, if you're that upset, you're that angry, you're just helping
drop
me
that dislike.
Drop that angry comment.
Make sure that you're yanking it extra hard when you drop it too. When you drop that dislike, oh.
Well, because that's the entire point is that people wouldn't care if they had a legitimate argument against what you actually said. They only have arguments against the straw man that they've created.
They created for themselves, exactly.
That means that you've hit on something. And all of the people who watched that video who didn't comment, all of them got it. Maybe not all of them, but you know what I mean. Like there's a much higher, I would assume, there's a much higher percentage of people who actually agree and would love to have the balls to have said it themselves. But we just unfortunately, we created an attention economy where negativity gets you more attention. So the people who are, the Twitter fingers, they're getting all the attention.
Right.
I'll just say this.
Right.
I averaged before this video like 97% like to dislike ratio in all my videos.
But you still
And
got
it-
plus 70%.
Yeah, it's 75.5. It's creeping up.
Oh, it's going up.
I got 1,320 likes and 429 dislikes. It's
And how many of those 429 dislikes know a goddamn thing about hockey? 75 of them?
Maybe.
Max?
Oh Jesus, yeah, maybe. I don't know, but it's
Because
I mean,
do you remember what happened in GG's? Because you're a New Jersey guy, right? Do you remember the whole thing with the Rutgers women's basketball team and Don Imus? Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So educate our viewers about that situation.
So I mean, long story short, they were playing a game, and Don Imus had, I don't remember what the show was, but
Imus in the morning.
yeah, he had a show, and he was talking about them, and I think they had just won like some big game championship or something, and he called them these nappy-headed hoes, and like he was just like an ignorant old white dude, but like
right.
you can't say that, bro. And so he got in a lot of trouble for that. They canceled his show and everything. That was.
Dude, I was a huge Don Imus fan. I listened to his morning show every morning. So I'm actually going to give you guys the proper context on those comments.
Okay.
You're going to learn something, and you're probably going to be more annoyed after I tell you this much about how woke, the wokeism stuff. Because this is the thing that really annoys me. So Imus in the Morning was a syndicated radio show that used to come on at 5:30 in the morning, and they would take you through the morning drive up until about 10 o'clock in the morning. And so what they had like it was like the sports version of like a Howard Stern, but they were like really hardcore. They felt like it was still like sports because it was on Sports Radio 66 WFAN back in the day when they were on 660 AM. They might still be on there or they moved. But the point is they had, Sports Radio 66 had, WFAN, they had this morning show, but it would be like a variety show where they would do some sports topics, but it was a lot more about social and political topics. They were really heavy on the politics. And in a lot of ways, they were like the forebearers of what South Park ended up being, where they would literally make fun of literally everybody. Women, men, Jews, Germans, white people, black people, the whole bit, right? So there was a bit. They had this guy Bernard who he was Jewish actually, right? And Don used to always he was I think like one of the producers, but he was also a person that was on the show. Mm-hmm. And Don will always call him a bald-headed Jew or some, he would always make some sort of Jew joke or something like that. And he would come out with something even like more savage, right? So Bernard, the bald-headed Jew, right? He went and he pranked one of the talk show hosts on another time frame where they only talk sports, right? Mm-hmm. And then he puts on his parody of a black man's voice. So he's like, oh, yo, he's kind of have like one of these voices, oh, right? So he starts trolling the guy that he called into the show, and he was like, yo, I don't want you talking about hockey topics, no more talking about hockey. And the guy was like, why? Because the guy sounded black, and he was like, yo, the only thing black is the puck, and they be smacking that around, and like it was so clear that like he was trolling him, right? And like I was trying to tell you. It's an old racist joke about how white hockey is, so we're not supposed to like it, right? Right. And he just totally trolled this guy, pranked this guy, and it was super fucking funny. Now, Imus made fun of everybody, no holds barred, right? When the Rutgers is a local team in the New York market. Obviously, it's a local team for you in New Jersey, right? But it's in the local market, and he wanted to say something fucked up to get a laugh. Now, the part that I had a problem with is that I started seeing opinions from people that didn't even know that Don Imus existed. Somebody went and took the sound thing to the women's coach at the time, Vivian somebody, I forget, Vivian Stringer, I forget what her name was, but Vivian Stringer, I think was her name, right? And they took the soundbite, just cut the soundbite. Oh, they called them nappy-headed hoes, and then went on this national fucking tour about a radio jockey they never even heard of before. Why do you give a fuck about the joke that he says? You never even knew this guy existed.
That was me. That was when that was my liberal days. I was like, how dare you? I was like, this guy needs to. And I mean, I even found it funny, but I was still like, bro, you can't be saying that shit. And I wanted him gone and all that. And I didn't know who. I didn't know
you didn't even know who he was.
And then you got born again like Jesus did. Crazy. So.
Do you think that was the first coming of common sense, or was that just fucking stupid? Why do you give a fuck with somebody you don't even know or listen to on the radio? Why do you give a fuck what he says?
I mean, it depends on what they say. Like,
again,
that is not something that I would care about. Like today, obviously, I did.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he made an off-color joke in line with all the off-color jokes he's made about every nationality, every political position, and both genders.
Well,
now if he was only dissing black women,
like black
the case, right? You can make that case, right? But he was equal opportunity on everybody.
So what you're saying is that America, in that instance, perpetuated black supremacy.
Damn.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I mean, listen.
That was just so incredibly stupid. I'm a black guy that listened to the show for years on the radio. I knew what the show was about. So, like, I knew you were going to get annoyed by the actual background. But when you actually looked at it in the context of the entire fucking soundbite and the whole premise of the show, right? We didn't get a whole bunch of groups talking about, oh, Don Imus made a joke about us. We're going to do all this and that. This is not
It's IYO.
In your opinion.
Okay.
If the Germans took over and brought back concentration camps, would Paul be one of the first sent to the gas chamber for being a money-hungry superhuman Jew with a big bearded Viking genes?
I'm done. All right, I'm gonna get off here, man. I gotta go.
I gotta drop a video, but I just want to tie a bow on one thing, about the woke and wokeism thing. What do you call that which is espoused by wokeism?
I'll see you next time.
I would call it entitled bitch ass niggas. That's what
not the people. Like, we're talking about if some, because we would say, you were saying before how like all the gay stuff is now, people are saying that's woke, but you're saying not woke because woke is the definition that you pulled up. So what would you call that collection of things that people are referring to as woke that you say is not woke?
Liberal intolerance, masquerading as tolerance.
Okay, I don't think that. I think that if you say liberal,
is that an accurate adjective?
Yeah, but that stands to my point that I think if you said if you use that in a sentence in just with a random average person, and then you, instead of liberal intolerance, you said woke, I don't think it would change the meaning of the message that they understood. And
the thing is, we've been saying that to other black people. Just because you identify as American doesn't mean the cop ain't going to kill you if he wants to. So I get exactly what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that the reality is, and the thing is, I don't want to get caught up in semantics. I just like when people say that black people can't be racist, I shut that shit down every fucking time. No, we're not going to go by, because there's a reason why there's a difference between racism and structural racism, right? Like, there is a difference. We understand that structural racism, what that is. Right? It's a separate definition unto itself, which is why it's moved over here. It's like when they say trans women are women. Okay, then why do you call them trans women? then why do you call them trans women? Because there is a material difference between the two where we actually have a real terminology for it. So that's why I make it very clear. I don't care who's trying to hijack it. I'm looking for the actual definition. Well, we don't have the power to affect other people's lives. That means that you cannot be a participant in structural racism. Good for you. But if your bias and your actions on that bias are based on racial parameters, you're racist. That's it.
Here. No argument here.
So, youtube.com /c//the Indian Jesus official. Okay.
Guys, I go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, dropping short videos every single day. So check out the channel. We are growing. We also have the Discord community that is also growing, and really, I've been spending a lot of time hanging out there, and it's a lot of fun. I know some of you guys are in there. We sometimes we'll just sit around and bullshit. Sometimes, a lot of times we'll have the conversation that, we can't talk about on YouTube. We'll bring it there. And then, sometimes it's just a community of people who want to talk about stuff that actually matters. So come on over, check me out, become part of the crew. We call every stream a party for a good goddamn reason, because we do party. Thank you to TSP. I was gonna say glad you're doing better, Cat, but I guess he died. And thank you to Dr. Evil Genius and the chat.
Yep. And over there, right? The second coming of common sense, and all of your cents and dollars will not go towards reparations over there. So if you do not support reparations for Black people, definitely go over there to the Indian Jesus official.
For free. I need reparations for. So head on over, hit that super chat button, super thanks, Cash App, all that stuff.
Yeah, I do want to make it clear though, like when it comes to that situation, I've been on the fence for a long time. And so a lot of the excuses for why not and the reasons why not, I've thought about them a lot, and I do think that there are real logistical issues that would probably need to be overcome. But I think my frustration is that many times the conversation goes towards all the reasons why we shouldn't, and nobody's looking for to know. When I have the certain conversations with the people that says we shouldn't, the conversation never does go to, okay, now what can we do to find something that actually does work? And it's all about nope, I wasn't involved in that. And the thing is, I defend whiteness all the time in the context of today's people never owned slaves, so to make them guilty by association for slavery is wrong, and I agree with that. But I also do believe that you don't get away with not doing the right thing simply because you keep kicking the can down the road and finding reasons not to do the right thing. Like there are people that I've screwed over in the past, and I don't look at it like, well, I shouldn't try to make it right because it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I don't look at it like that. It's like, well, I know that I'm probably going to have to pay a lot in interest. When I am able to make it right with those people that I did wrong, I know that I'm going to have to pay them with interest, because the pain that I cause doesn't just get wiped off the map, like you said, statute of limitations. But that's how I'm built. That is and one of the things I cannot do, no matter how close it is to me in my heart, I cannot put my moral fibers and then put it on you, even though it does say forcing my opinions on you. Right?
Beautiful.
So again, I really appreciate you coming on and giving your opinions. I hope that I did justice by allowing you to speak, because I've been trying to, kind of let people get their thoughts out instead of interrupt them all the time. I know people like, yo, let them talk. Like, okay, let them talk. Nigga. I know it's been a while since you've been on here too. So I really do appreciate you coming on. Now I know I got to come to your show whenever, you're not. If you're talking on a subject that I can vibe with, I'll come running and jump on.
All right, so like twice a year then. All right, I got you.
So yeah, hit me up. Like, you got my number, you know what I'm saying? Hit me up, say, yo, I have the subject for you. Right now, I think that I am going to well, this is one of the reasons why you do it. I just really want to yell really loud, "I'm rich, bitch!" Right? So what I am about to do is I'm not done streaming. Okay. I want you guys, if you guys are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, YouTube /@dr_evil_genius. I'm gonna head on over to my PS5.
Here, take that full screen promo. I'm gonna head out. Thank you so much, guys.
I also want you to come in the comment section for a couple minutes.
Peace.
Yeah. Bye, Lutch. So I want you guys to come hang out with me if you guys want to talk about, more controversial stuff, or you just want to shoot the shit. I'm going to go over to the Dr. Evil Genius channel, and I am going to go and play some of I always forget the name of this game. Horizon Forbidden West. And so if you guys want to ask me more questions about my views on the world, that's usually where I do that on that channel, either in one of my cars or while I'm on the PlayStation. So if you haven't already, go subscribe over there. I am going to go stream that game and answer your questions and just have a fun time. You know what I'm saying? So again, thank you guys for coming through and adding your opinions. Your opinions are always valued here, whether I agree with them or not, whether Cap agrees with them or not. And we value them more if you disagree with Lutch. And on that note, yeah, thank you very much. And we'll see you on the next live stream. Peace.